Mic check.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. What up? What up? A2HH live on a Wednesday. This is gonna be our pre-Thanksgiving Day show. How you doing tonight, Coop?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good to be here. Good to be heard. And we're gonna get some of these Thanksgiving conversations with hip hop popping off real quick. Want to welcome everybody into the room. I know everybody's probably cooking, getting their thing together. Put us on your TV. You know how we do.
Yeah. My mom is in my kitchen right now cooking greens.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. We can start off with the basketball talk, really. There's a whole lot that we were actually gonna get to.
Right.
Um,
Click like and subscribe to the page.
of course, like and subscribe as always. You know what? There was something I did want to open up the show with.
LeBron, KD.
Well, it was a LeBron and KD thing. I don't agree. We were talking offline, but I don't think that. All right, LeBron just hit 39,000 points.
First person to 39,000 points.
Ever. I mean, it's the highest score ever.
Yeah,
now, I mean, KD might catch him.
He's on the trajectory where he's actually slightly ahead of LeBron's trajectory for
But-
amount of games played.
I don't think there's any, in my estimation, I don't think there's anything that KD can do at this point to be considered to be a better player than LeBron. And you seem to disagree with that.
Okay, so I made a top 20 NBA player list, and I realized that it's like, first of all, LeBron is number 2 on my list, like
Okay.
objectively speaking. If I was picking in a vacuum, I would probably take some guys ahead of LeBron. But if you look at KD's number, because KD played his 1,000th game last night when LeBron passed 39,000 points. The only people to score more points in 1,000 games are Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So if you look at it, KD is at 27,333 points, which means literally every time he shows up and plays a basketball game, he's going to give you 27. He's averaging about 32 right now at age 35. And so the question isn't whether he can catch LeBron all time. I think it's about how many games he's going to play, because LeBron has just been healthier.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's a better all-around player than KD.
Saying the volume's a little low. Let me know if anybody else is experiencing that. Okay, volume a little bit better. Yeah, let us know if y'all experiencing that, but go ahead.
But one thing that I did realize is that I needed to reorganize my player list. Something came to me the other day, and I realized, Akeem played in the finals 5 years before Mike ever seen a finals.
He did.
And I thought to myself, what does Hakeem Olajuwon's career look like if he has a Tony Parker or a Manu Ginobili or a Kobe or a Scottie Pippen or a Kareem and Worthy? Think about it.
That's fair.
And because of that, I look at it like, well, his 2 rings are different than everybody else's 2 rings. Like, his 2 rings trump Wilt's 2 rings. Wilt played with Hall of Famers for his 2 rings. Akeem didn't play with any Hall of Famers. Akeem's 2 rings.
Play with Drexler.
1 Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Akeem's 2 rings trump KD's 2 rings. But I also realized something too. Steph and Kobe cannot be considered in the GOAT conversation, because all the other guys that are in the conversation, with the exception of Kareem, who I think is more of an anomaly because he had Magic and Oscar Robertson, all those other guys have been the man from the moment they stepped on the basketball court until they stepped off.
Right.
And so, respectfully to Steph and Kobe, it's like, and that's why I was trying to tell you, it's no disrespect to Kobe. I love Kobe, but you can't be the wingman for 3 of your 5 rings and be in the GOAT conversation.
This is what I will say about Kobe, though. I think, not to interrupt you, at one point, Kobe was hands down the best player in the league. I can't even really say that about Steph.
And so to the Steph thing, for all these people that think Steph is ahead of KD, you understand he had to take a back, like on their 2 championship teams, Steph has 4 rings. And this is what I mean about how his 2 rings aren't the same. Well, Steph has 2 rings without KD, but the 2 rings he has with KD are very comparable to the Kobe Shaq thing, where it's like, well, you're not the driving force behind that. You're not the best player on the team.
But how does that count towards KD, though?
I mean, how about this? I think what the knock on KD is that with the exception of Magic and Kareem playing, there hasn't been an all-time duo. I mean, it's Kareem and Magic, Shaq and Kobe, and then it actually would be KD and Steph. But listen to what I'm saying. It's KD and Steph, not Steph and KD. Like it's Magic and Kareem because when Magic came, they won 5 titles. Kareem had only won 1. Magic won 3 MVPs, I believe, while Kareem was still around. Kareem only won 1 while Magic was around. Kareem won 1 Finals MVP when Magic was around. Magic won 2. And so if you really want to be fair about how the history of basketball goes, KD is the man on that team. It's just that outside of Kobe and outside of Kareem, Steph is the third best, second best player on a team ever. Does that make sense?
Well, yes. And one could argue, though, that Steph is 2-time MVP. KD's a 1-time MVP, and he was a 2-time league MVP before KD even got to his team.
Okay, but here's also reality of the matter. First of all, and I mean, I say this respectfully to Steph, Steph ain't never sent nobody home who really mattered without KD. KD sent Kobe home.
Yeah.
KD sent Tim Duncan home. This is in Oklahoma City. You feel what I'm saying? Steph hadn't sent anybody home except for a hurt LeBron team. KD, think about this. KD done sent LeBron home. He done sent Kobe home. He done sent Duncan home. That means he done sent 3 of the top 10 players home as the main driving force of a team. And so you can't overlook those things. And just because you prefer Steph, and I like what Rashad McCants and Gilbert were talking about on their podcast, it's like, well, Steph and LeBron get promoted differently because they have families. And this is a family game, and KD doesn't. And so he gets shrunken because he doesn't have a family. And that's not fair because on the ball court, let's just be honest, he's the best player of this generation next to LeBron. It's not Steph because if it was Steph, who won those finals MVPs when they played together?
No.
Very much like I told you, it's like, oh no, you can put Kobe ahead of Shaq all time if you want to, but I don't because Shaq was the man for 3 of his 4 rings and Kobe was only the man for 2. Shaq was those finals MVPs the same way KD was the finals MVP. And so respectfully to Steph, it's like Steve Nash got 2 MVPs. All right. Do you think Steve Nash is better than Jason Kidd or Isaiah Thomas? Because they have no MVPs.
No, I don't.
So the MVPs ain't like that. Kareem has 6 MVPs. Does anybody walk around and talk about how Kareem has double the MVPs Magic have and call him better because of that?
I've never heard that argument.
Think about it. He has double the MVPs of Magic.
But I would put Kareem over Magic overall.
How? Kareem didn't win shit until Magic came along. Think about this. Like, people forget.
He won something without Magic. Magic didn't win without him either.
That's fair, but he also had the guy that at the time was considered to be, for their respective eras, like Kareem literally played for, at the time, the 2 greatest point guards of all time when he retired. That's Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson. And not to like try to castigate Kareem at all. Those Milwaukee Bucks teams were kind of like those Miami Heat teams, except for 4 straight years they were great, but he only got 1 ring out that deal. He lost the finals, and he lost the Eastern Conference Finals twice, I believe. And so having Oscar Robertson for 4 or 5 years and only walking away with 1 ring, it's like, no, we can't act like that's okay. Because the reality of the matter is Kareem should have about 7 or 8 rings because he should have won a couple with Oscar, and he should have won 5 with Magic, which he did. But like I said, how many of those 5 championship teams? Magic got 3 of those finals MVPs. Kareem got 1, and Worthy got 1.
Nope.
Kareem's not the man on those teams. I'm sorry. He's not.
He's a little older, but, I got what
he's not older in 80 and 84 and 85. And, like, he's older in 88. He's older on the last team. That last year that they won the title, the year before, his scoring average was 17 points a game. It wasn't that last championship team was his really only what you would call subpar Kareem season. He averaged 10 points a game that season. He was Kareem that whole time. Magic's the better player, and it showed when it was game time.
Let me get to the super chats real quick. Shout out to everybody in the room. Thumbs up in the chat. Ahmad with the super chat says, peace, happy early Thanksgiving. Shout out to Ice Cube for having an NBA Hall of Fame award named after him. Yes, shout out to Cube. Mad Max with the super chat says, Steph sent KD and Russ home. MJ with the super chat
Clay sent KD and Russ home.
MJ with the super chat says, Kobe is a 12-time all-defense. KD, 0-time all-defense. LeBron, 6-time all-defense.
And I have Kobe and LeBron ahead of KD, mostly about that, because offensively, he's even better than Kobe. The numbers reflect it.
JB was here with the super chat says, Kobe's 2 solo rings one with a broken finger is greater than all the others.
No, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Akeem's 2 rings are the greatest 2 rings ever. He had Paul Gasol and Lamar Odom. Those are all-star and Hall of Fame players. He just had an old Drexler. Drexler couldn't even dunk the ball like that anymore by the time
Was
he was with
Drexler
Houston.
that old? Because Drexler's like a year older than Jordan, and Jordan was
Body, taking care of yourself. He might have not been older, but like Barkley and Drexler and some of those guys, they were older than what their years were because of the wear and tear, how the NBA got played, how they didn't take care of their bodies all the time. Like Clyde was doing more finger rolls than Duncan in Houston. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like the high flyer that he was in Houston. He was more of a mid-range jump shooter and a slasher to the basket. He wasn't like jumping over anybody in Houston. Akeem's 2 rings are the 2 rings.
Well, that goes to show you how great Michael Jordan is. So, okay, what's your top 20?
I mean, people are going to be mad at this, Mike. I had to slide Wilt and Russell back, and I'm going to tell you why.
Oh, my goodness.
No, I'm going to tell you why, because you're the one that always talks about it. It's like, well, he won 11 rings, but who'd he beat? Well, it's like he just beat Wilt. But then I think about it, it's like, well, Wilt only got 2 rings. Who did Wilt beat? Because when I go to Hakeem, oh, no, Hakeem beat Shaq. Hakeem beat David Robinson. Hakeem beat Patrick Ewing. Who did Wilt and Kareem beat like that? Who did Bill Russell beat like that?
Well, Patrick didn't win anything either. You know,
but what I'm
no disrespect to our New York audience out there. I love Patrick.
I mean, but Patrick Ewing is one of the 10 greatest centers of all time. What I'm saying is, Akeem to get his rings beat 3 of the 10 greatest centers ever. How many top 10 centers did Kareem beat? How many did Wilt beat? How many did Bill Russell beat? So we really got to look at it.
Okay.
And also, too, here's the thing about it: for whatever Wilt and Kareem are offensively, Hakeem isn't as far behind them on offense as those 2 guys to him on defense, because he's the greatest defensive player ever, arguably.
Who's that, Hakeem?
Hakeem.
I can go with that, and I think that's the thing that, you know, if you want to rank Hakeem high,
I do.
His blocks, he has a record
untouchable.
that would not be broken. Now, granted, they didn't count Wilt's blocks for his whole career, or Bill Russell. So that might look a little different, but, you know, in the modern era,
But that's what I mean.
nobody's going to catch Hakeem's blocking record.
But they didn't play nothing but each other. And so about that, and also, too,
It's like 8 teams.
it's an 8-team league.
Yeah.
So we have to be fair. So here's my new list. I got MJ at 1, LeBron at 2, Magic at 3. I think that's solid. That's not changing. I slid Hakeem up to number 4 about all the things that I said, because for all of those putting that all defense stuff about LeBron and Kobe, them niggas not Hakeem on defense, neither
Hakeem
one of them.
might be the greatest defensive
Right.
player of all time.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so if we're talking offensively too, it's like, well, what do you want? How many guys are walking around with MVP, Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year? How many people can actually say they beat a Magic and Kareem team in their primes to go to the finals? Because he can.
Who's that?
Hakeem, he beat them in '86.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened. And, you know, he's top 10 in steals and blocks.
At the center position.
Center position.
And he has, next to Michael Jordan's fadeaway and Kareem's hook, the most famous move ever, which is the Dream Shake. And it might be the best move of all the 3.
Why do you think he doesn't get all of that credit, like, you know, some of his counterparts?
Because he's not from here.
I think we've talked about that before too.
Because he's not from here.
I think that
if he was from Brooklyn or Chicago or Los Angeles, he would be where I have him on this list. What's his 4?
And I think that a lot of that is, you know, I don't want to say language barrier, but dialect. I think the way that, and what you were talking about with how KD's marketed or whatnot, their marketability is a little different when you have, you know what I'm saying, a dialect from somewhere else.
And I think people forget this. I believe it's the 1988 season. He converts to Islam, and his name goes from Akeem, because you know his name was Akeem with 2 A's, and then he added the H because he converted to Islam. So let's not make it seem like that in this country, in the 80s, that him switching over to Islam at a time when Minister Farrakhan was very, very controversial didn't have something to do with that. He beat Shaq, he beat Ewing, he beat David Robinson. He's arguably the greatest defensive player ever. He's the second best player ever from what is arguably the greatest era ever. Mm-hmm. He's second to Mike in that era. So I have him 4th. I got Tim Duncan 5th.
Okay.
He's got 5 rings and he should have 6. And I don't care what anybody says. Like, that Kawhi Finals MVP is the worst MVP I've ever seen handed out to a Finals MVP, because they're like, oh, he stopped LeBron. LeBron averaged like 27 points in the series. And the reason LeBron didn't shoot well had nothing to do with Kawhi. It had to do with the fact that if you looked over Kawhi's shoulder, there was Tim Duncan standing there in the lane. And that's why LeBron was pulling up and shooting them jumpers. It wasn't Kawhi forcing him into bad shots. He knew if he got past Kawhi, he had to deal with Tim. He took the easier way out, which is to shoot over Kawhi, then to go challenge Tim Duncan in the lane, which is a smart decision.
I think the worst Finals MVP is when they gave it to
Iguodala.
Iguodala. Yeah.
Nah, Iguodala, I think, did more defensively than Kawhi did against LeBron. That's what I'm saying.
But Kawhi at least did something offensively. Iguodala
He averaged 14 points a game. No, he didn't.
Yeah, Iguodala didn't even do that.
One of those. I got Shaq at 6 because his 3 rings and his 3 Finals MVPs is about as dominant as it gets.
Got 4.
But no, yeah, I'm talking about the main 3. You know,
the
Laker 3. Well, how about this? On the 2016, people are like, Wade carried that team. It's like Shaq averaged like 22 and 10 in the finals.
Yeah, we don't even consider Shaq putting up like 22 and 10.
That's
not
doing
anything.
Right.
We take it for granted.
I got Kareem at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Got Bird at 8. I'll tell you why I have Bird ahead of Kobe. For as clutch as Kobe is, Bird's more clutch. And his 3 rings are like more like his rings than Kobe's 2 rings are. So I got Bird slightly ahead of over Kobe. I got Bill Russell at 10. I got Wilt at 11. I got KD at 12. Then I got Dr. J, Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry. So I got KD at 12 and Steph at 15. So it's not like I'm saying there's some sort of large gap. That's the same gap that's between Magic and Kareem. You feel me? Because that's usually how it goes. And it's the same difference between Shaq and Kobe. Shaq is 6, Kobe is 9. Magic is 3, Kareem is 7. KD is 12, Steph is 15. But he's not better. Like by no metric other than free throw shooting is he really like consistently better. He's never even going to get to some of these heights to be in these conversations, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Moses Malone at 16. I think Moses is probably the most underrated all-time great player ever. I got Barkley at 17. I got Oscar Robertson at 18. I got Wade at 19. And I got David Robinson at 20. I think because of Akeem, people forget how great David Robinson was offensive and defensively. Like, it was a battle between them for a while until, like, Akeem just kind of, like, his footwork leveled up to a place where it's like he just kind of left Robinson behind a little bit. And Robinson, you know, his rings are somewhat of a product of Tim Duncan. You know what I'm saying? He didn't win shit till Tim came along, really.
Okay. I'm glad you didn't slight David Robinson because I like David Robinson. I think he, I don't know if I would have him top 20, but, you know, he's up there. I got him. I think he's better than Ewan, in my opinion.
He is. He's better defensively and he's a better shooter.
Yeah. David Robinson needs a lot more credit.
And he's a better defensive player than Ewan.
Oh, yeah.
He won a Defensive Player of the Year award. That's what I mean. The Admiral was something serious.
Was tough.
Yeah, he was tough. And people forget.
We don't talk about him enough either.
He was really in the Navy for a few years. He could have came out earlier and he would be higher up on these blocks lists, these scoring lists, and a lot of this stuff.
Serve the country.
Yeah, serve the country dutifully. What do you think about me sliding Wilt out the top 10? Because every time somebody talks about Bill Russell and the time, I'm like, well, if he's the man for the time, and you think Wilt is all this, it's like, well, why Wilt only got 2 rings in an 8-team thing? Because who did Wilt beat other than Bill Russell? Because he never really beat Bill but one time.
Well, the way I look at it, man, that Celtic institution was just so powerful, man. Nobody was going to beat them. You know what I mean? And I think that Wilt going at it with that team, you just really weren't going to win, especially playing the type of basketball he was playing. And like you said, with it being 8 teams, yeah, you got to factor those things in, but you also have to factor in when one team is extremely stacked, ain't no trades to make. You know what I'm saying? It's really you can't really shake shit around too much when you got 8 teams. So that one team that's dominant is probably going to just stay dominant because nobody's going to leave there. And the Celtics just had that great, mixture, and Wilt just wasn't going to beat them. That's why he had to do what he did and went to the Lakers.
But if Wilt is so much better than Russell one-on-one, like people are saying, people act like he didn't play with Hall of Famers. No, Wilt played with about 3 or 4 Hall of Famers. Now, Bill may have played with about 6 or 7, but if Wilt is really that much better than Bill, like people think, he would have usurped some of that. And so
the best argument you've made on this show is the fact that Wilt's playoff numbers ain't like his regular season numbers. And that's just the fact. So if that's the argument being made, I'm with that. And I love Wilt. And I think that Wilt is, from a talent perspective, in a vacuum, is probably the greatest talent basketball has ever seen. But if you look at his playoff numbers, they don't look like what the dominance that we saw in the regular season.
Right, well, hold on.
I wasn't there to watch it, so I got to ask as a spectator why.
Where's the 50.25 rebound series during the playoffs?
Yeah.
Well, they don't exist. And so his play went down substantially in the playoffs from the numbers that he put up in his prime. Oh, no, there's definitely a dip. And don't tell me Bill Russell didn't have nothing to do with that. Because most of the dip Happens when he plays the Celtics.
It's true.
And them other dudes ain't big enough for to even be saying that they're bothering Wilt. That's Bill Russell leveling up in the playoffs, and that's Wilt Chamberlain leveling down.
Yeah.
And it's more of an even playing field, but that's why I have them right next to each other though. But I did slide both of them down because 11 rings in an 8-team league is it's top 10 worthy, which is why I have him at 10, but somebody had to take the fall from that era, and that would be Wilt because he literally has 9 less rings than his competition.
OG Winston with Super Chat says, Duncan over Kobe, throw the whole list away.
Okay.
What do you say to that? And then we can move on.
How many rings Duncan got?
5.
Didn't he win a lot of those rings when Kobe and Shaq were together?
I wouldn't say a lot, but
3 of them.
They weren't together for that. Oh,
First of all, he won before
the first one.
Hold on. First of all,
I forgot about.
Hold on. First of all, tell me why Tim Duncan is winning before Kobe and Shaq win. Somebody explain that to me.
Because he got David Robinson.
Right. But hold on. Hold on.
Twin Towers.
So, who would you take? Duncan and Robinson or Kobe and Shaq? So no excuse for Duncan beating both of them to the punch. Shaq will tell you that Tim Duncan is a greater player than him and Kobe. Shaq will say that out his mouth because he knows it is true. And no, after the Lakers three-peat, the Spurs won that next ring. Shaq and Kobe were still together because they hadn't lost to the Pistons yet because they lost to the Pistons the following year.
I'm gonna take a rookie Duncan over a third-year Kobe.
Okay, so what does that say, though? That's what I'm saying. For all you people saying this about Kobe, and who was it? Gilly was talking about this. It's like, no disrespect to Kobe. When Kobe came into the league, he was backing up Eddie Jones and averaging 7 points a game. LeBron came in the league averaging 20. KD came in the league averaging 20. Duncan came in the league averaging 20. I think people are looking at...
Came out of high school, though.
So did LeBron.
Well, he's different.
KD only played 1 year of college ball.
That's a big difference, though. I think if Kobe would have played 1 year of college, I think he would have been a lot further ahead.
I think people are talking about Kobe's peak, and they're not but you have to look at the totality. And the reality of the matter is, from the moment that Tim Duncan stepped on a basketball court, he was an MVP caliber player and Hall of Fame championship caliber player. For the duration of his career, it remained that way. When Kobe's career was waning and the Lakers were struggling, Duncan was still the main force behind a championship team.
Yeah.
And his finals record is better. He's 5 for 6 as opposed to 5 for 8.
A big man has a better opportunity to be a greater player than a guard.
It's a height game.
And that's just what shows you how incredible Michael Jordan once again is.
Yeah.
Because even when he came in the league, they were saying these things, and they were right. It was like, it's a big man's league. Nobody 6'6" is going to be able to change things around.
But Kobe's not better than Duncan all the time. I'm sorry, because here's the reality of the matter. It's a team game, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're drafting to play a team, like if I want a game, I want Kobe. But if I need to play a season of basketball as a team, Tim Duncan has proven to be the superior player over the course of both of their extended careers.
JB was here with the super chat, says, is winning individual rings equal to three-peating? I don't think so. Bird, Duncan never repeated. Magic, 0 rings without Kareem. Kobe's better. Woo.
No. Kobe, you can't be in the GOAT conversation and not be the mainstay on the team the entirety of the time. That is just part of the fucking rules. He's the second best player for 3 of his rings. The end. Even when Bird didn't win Finals MVP, he was still the best player on a championship team. He just didn't win Finals MVP. And he still took 2 of those home too. So no, I love Kobe, but y'all gotta be realistic about the whole thing of it. No, how about this?
Kobe is the eye test, man. People seen it.
No, how about this? None of these dudes average 7 points a game their first season that he's in the conversation with. So y'all should be happy that he's in that conversation. That speaks to how hard Kobe worked to get to where he was and the dues that he paid. Because there's not an all-time great player that paid dues like Kobe. But
I think that's because he came out of high school too.
So what? So was LeBron. If LeBron and Kobe is comparable, explain to me why one is averaging 20 and one's averaging 7.
I can tell you. One played for Cleveland and one played for the Lakers.
Nobody.
And I will say this. The things that came with Kobe going to an organization like the Lakers, it helped him in the long run. But in the beginning, like you said, he was going to average 7 points. If he would have went to Charlotte or no, at the time, yeah, it would have the Hornets.
It would have been Charlotte. No,
he would have had a green light. You know, I doubt he would have averaged 7 points out there. You know what I mean? But, you know, we never know. But you got to take the good with the bad. But just based on who he was and the player that he proved to be.
It's not like I have
I
him
think
25 on
no,
this
I
list.
got you. I think that his productivity or lack thereof on his rookie season was based on him being on the Lakers.
I
And
mean,
they already had Eddie Jones.
he
and
wasn't
stuff.
like that on his second and third season either, Mike. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like that was just the first year.
What happened when they got rid of Eddie Jones and he got into the starting lineup?
That was season 3, I believe.
Because he did make the All-Star team as a rookie, right?
That's voting. That's not talent. That's not skill. All I'm saying is
there's a reason why he got those votes.
No. Kobe's exciting, and we always knew he was going to be an all-time great player. Michael Jordan as a rookie averaged 28 points. LeBron as a rookie averaged 23 points. Magic Johnson as a rookie averaged 18 points. Hakeem as a rookie averaged 22 points. Tim Duncan 19 points. Shaq 23 points. Kareem 30. No, Kareem averaged 28 just like Mike. Bird 23. Kobe 7.
Esquire with the super chat says, so finals MVP equals best player on the team in all cases because Kareem was by far the best Laker. By far the Lakers' best player in the 80 and 82, and he deserved finals MVP in 80.
He was on track to win finals MVP in 80 until he got hurt. And
that's a fair point.
And to be honest with you, if we're just really calling a spade, from the moment that Magic played in Game 6, his rookie year, he was a better player than Kareem from that moment on. People just don't want to acknowledge it. Magic is a better passer. He's actually technically a better rebounder for his size than Kareem. He's more transcendental. And a lot of the reason that Kareem's career got extended the way it did is because of what? Magic. So respectfully, nah. Because here's the thing. If y'all going to say that about Kareem, y'all need to be saying that about KD versus Steph. Right.
I want to keep it LA real quick, man. Shout out to the West Coast. I don't see Jay Short checking in yet, but I know we got some West Coast people here. Eazy-E got a street named after him.
Easy.
I don't think we talk about Easy enough, and we talking about...
We don't.
Yeah. I mean, we were just speaking about Akeem Olajuwon and, why people like that don't get spoken of, but Eazy-E... from a talent finding perspective, he found Dre, Q, or at least helped bring all those things together.
Yeah.
The Black Eyed Peas,
yeah.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, and I mean countless others. But if you look at that pool of talent that was able to basically transcend the genre and transcend generations, I can't imagine what Eazy would have continued to do. If he were able to be here for a longer time, you know what I'm saying? Like, he identified talent very well. You were talking to Chris the Glove, and he was talking about how Dre is able to identify talent. Him and Eazy had that. And, I mean, honestly, when we look at it, Eazy might have had it more in spades.
You've said this. Hip-hop's greatest trio we've ever seen is Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and who?
Eazy.
And so... we talk about the other two with frequency like we should, and we don't talk about Eazy like we should. Here, not to go back to it, this is why certain people who are alive and not performing their catalog is more egregious, because there are people who aren't here, and because they're not here to perform their works, it hurts some of their status. Part of why we hold Dre and Cube so high, they're still around. They can still do their work. They still have a presence in the community. Eazy's been gone since we were young teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think I was like 6th grade when Eazy passed.
Yeah. And so he's not around for his legacy outside of Compton to really live on the way that it should.
I heard Lazy Bone say this, I believe, or one of the Bone members. And I think it's real. I mean, it's unfortunate. Somebody asked them about, Eazy and him not being remembered in that way. And this is about the time with Pac and Big, left us early as well. He said, one of the reasons is the fact that Eazy didn't go out in a blaze of glory, like to some violence. And I think that might have something to do with it, too.
He died of a frightening disease at the time.
Yeah.
Like, we were frightened. And it happened fast, too. I think people don't realize it's like
Eazy went very fast.
Eazy was sick in the hospital, and then Eazy was like gone. It felt like it was like
in a week.
Click. It felt like
from
a week.
What I remember.
Yeah, from what we were told, it felt like he checked into the hospital 1 week and he was gone the next week.
Right.
And so it did happen fast. Just real quick, Mike, not to be funny, let's pull up Kobe's numbers his first 4 seasons.
Okay.
First season, 7.6 points. Mike, his field goal percentage was 41% from the field. Season 2, 15 points. Guess what his field goal percentage is, Mike? 42% from the field. Mike, season 3 is 19.9. Field goal percentage, 46%. Mike, he didn't average over 20 points a game until season 4. None of those other guys had those type of issues. So when people are like, oh no, 1 year of college. No, Mike, not 1 year of college. It took Kobe a while to get to where Kobe is. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're in a conversation with Shaq, who came out as Shaq, has Tim Duncan, who came out as Tim Duncan, Magic Johnson, who came out as Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant. It's like, no, what Kobe is averaging in year number 4 is pretty much what all these guys averaged in year number 1 on the low end. And Mike, his career field goal percentage is 44%. That's very Allen Iverson-like for us to make it seem like he's this all-time great shooter.
This what
you want to see his three-point percentages? Because it's not what you think.
He made the shots that matter. This is what I was going to say.
He's a 32% three-point shooter, a 44% field goal shooter. That's for the entirety of his career. Michael Jordan is a 49, almost 50% shooter for his career, just for some context.
Kobe's never shot over 50% from the field.
Never, Mike. You want to know the best season he had shooting the ball? Let's see his best field goal percentage. His best field goal percentage is 46.9, Mike. It's his 6th season, which is really like the peak of his powers when he starts ushering Shaq out. Yeah.
Okay. What I will say,
he's never shot 47% in a season. Think about this. If Steph Curry or Kevin Durant shoot 47% from the field, that's a bad season for them.
No, that's real.
KD is shooting 52% from the floor for the last 10 years.
Well, what I was going to say as far as like his lower point average, you also have to factor in again, not only
Shaq.
He coming from high school.
He's not the man.
But he's the first guard to come out of high school. Is he not?
The first guard to come straight out of high school?
I think he is.
He might be.
Yeah.
Because I know Moses, KG.
And I think they were easing him in. Like KG, I will say this. I know Moses Malone came out, right? KG for my time,
the blueprint.
That was the first time I had seen somebody come out of high school, but he had size and he was able to be productive right away. Back then, the guys that came out of high school, they were easing them into the game. And I would imagine with Kobe being the first guard to come out of high school, he was really getting eased into the process. And that was probably a real work in progress for him as well.
Just all due respect to Kobe. His career averages are 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 44% from the floor and 32% from the three-point line. That's not GOAT talk. Not when LeBron is walking around averaging 27 his whole career at 50% and shooting pretty much the same from three-point line and not as good as a shooter. No, it's not when KD is walking around averaging 27 points and literally is, by NBA standards, the most effective field goal shooter from the two-point line who ever existed. When you're in the category with these people who are your comps, that's not even bringing Shaq and Hakeem and Tim in. It's like, no. Don't make me pull up Larry Bird's numbers because Bird is a far superior shooter at every measure and metric than Kobe.
Bird was great.
And he got 3 straight MVPs to boot, which is something Mike never did, Magic never did, Kareem never did.
One of those I think Magic should have won, but hey. Esquire with the super chat says
Mike should have won the 86 one.
Esquire with the super chat says, so if Magic was like that from 80 forward, why did Bird win Rookie of the Year? Why didn't he win MVP until 87? Tragic Johnson in 84 finals. Ring a bell, Coop?
Yep. I'll say for the first 5 years of their career, Larry Bird is the best player in the NBA, including Magic and Kareem. So that's really more props to Larry. Larry Bird came in MVP caliber. That's what I'm saying. You can't sit up there and put Kobe in a GOAT talk when somebody like Larry Bird is walking around and busting niggas' ass on day one.
Larry Bird did give Hakeem's Rockets team the business, that same team that, beat the Lakers.
Yeah.
JB was here with the super chat, says Kobe and KG are 7+ years pre-LeBron. Don't act like LeBron didn't benefit from the timing of his draft class. Kobe starts everywhere but LA. Stop it. Old school thinking held him back.
Look here. If was a fifth, we just dealing with the facts. Y'all doing that woulda, shoulda, coulda shit. I'm doing that what happened shit. For 4 straight years, he didn't average 20 points. He never shot over 50% from the field. He never shot over 40% from the three-point line. That's it. That's it. Like, end of discussion. You don't want to pull up Larry Bird's stats. This is why I put Bird ahead of him. Mike, his first year, 21 points a game. Hold on, where's this field goal? Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm about to
All
pull
right,
up this
Michael Williams
field
with
goal
the super
percentage
chat
is stupid.
says, since you two were there in real time, did anyone call Pac the GOAT after All Eyes on Me dropped?
Yes.
If you called Pac the GOAT in '96, would people have looked at you funny, or would you had a valid claim? It's interesting to say. I mean, we were kids, so anybody that was hot at the time was considered the best rapper. But I had heard Pac being the guy. I had heard that about Big being the guy. But also in high school, when X dropped not Me Against the World. What's wrong
It's
with
Dark
me?
and
It's
Hell is
Dark
Hot.
and Hell is Hot. Everybody was saying he was the guy. He was the best rapper. When Jay-Z dropped Volume 2, he was the guy. So I can't say for the older people at the time were they saying Tupac was the greatest, but for the young people, yes, that was being said.
Okay, Larry Bird's rookie year, 21.3 points, 47% from the field, and where from the 3-point line? Hold on.
Well, 3-point shots really weren't
40%. He came in
he
averaging
still came
40% from the 3-point line as a rookie. Kobe never shot 40% from the 3-point line. 21.3 in season 1, Mike.
Yeah.
Season 1. Place that Kobe didn't get to till season 4. Larry Bird for his career, 37% from 3. 5 points ahead of Kobe. For his career from the field goal, almost 50%, 49.6. 5 points ahead of Kobe. He literally, by every measure, is a better shooter than Kobe and better scorer than Kobe. And guess what? Doubles Kobe in rebounds. Larry Bird has career averages of almost 25, 10, and 6.
Right.
So stop kicking that Kobe shit and like know your full basketball.
He out-rebound Parrish and McHale.
Y'all talking about what y'all see with y'all eye when you were kids and y'all don't know the full history of basketball. Bird was a walking scoring machine like Kobe with more rebounds, more assists, and better shooting. And he never had a Shaq because Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish ain't fucking Shaq.
No, they're not.
Combined, they not Shaq.
So,
Stop that.
Eazy-E's legacy, right? I mean, we kind of alluded to, him as an entrepreneur. And, we know that maybe the fact that someone was writing Eazy-E's rhymes, maybe that's why he might get slighted on some of these lists. But I do think there's a special place for Eazy-E in hip-hop history. And once again, with Hip Hop 50 being around, I would like to see more of a background on Eazy. But I do think this, and I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I think that the way that he and Dre's relationship was, and I guess the ownership that he had in Dre at the time, that might have something to do with why people don't speak to it, because it really didn't end on the best terms. So, and not to say that's any of Dre's fault, but I just think that, certain people are just such movers and shakers in this game that people kind of tread lightly on certain topics. And maybe Eazy falls into that.
He did a lot of controversial things, going to the White House at a time when definitely he was considered to be, I wouldn't say an activist, but rebellious in the eyes of the black community. An astute businessman, charismatic. Like, it's like the Glove said. He's like, man, Eazy's a star. Like, remember I asked him Eazy or DJ Quick, and he like, Coop, stop playing with me. That's why Glove taught me so much, because for me, because of DJ Quick's album making ability and production skills, and the fact they're both from Compton and they both have made classic solo albums, Born and Raised in Compton, and Eazy does it respectfully. I thought it was comparable. Glove was like, nah, my G, that's not comparable. When NWA pulling up, think about this, NWA pulling up with Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, Eazy's the man. And so when Glove kind of made that picture clear for me, I'm like, oh, that's that charisma. That's that star power that you can't replace. That's that intangible thing that you can't put a number on. How about this? For whatever I may feel about KD, KD's the best offensive player ever by metric. He don't have that killer shit that Kobe and Mike had, and that's why people look at Kobe and Mike like better scores. Eazy has that intangible thing that even Dre and Ice Cube didn't have. His star power was just different. And so I think it's his intangibles that really get lost in it, because it's quick to forget those things when somebody's not around to share the stories of those things. That's why it was so important to talk to Glove when he's talking about how they pulled up and stuff and how they got him to wear their hat. He's like, no, the hat part of the uniform. Who idea was it to wear them Raider hats and them White Sox hats? That's Eazy. So there's some marketing genius in him. So he's a lot of things.
When I think of NWA, obviously Ice Cube is the writer, but the image and the attitude, I think are easy.
Well, think about it. I think their coming out moment, wouldn't you say it's Boys in the Hood?
Oh yeah.
So who rapping that?
Oh yeah.
Right. So why didn't Cube rap that? Because Eazy's a star.
You right?
Right. You give a star to bars.
Yeah.
Even if you got Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, that says a lot about Eazy star power. So
it does.
We need to do a better job, as somebody that's respected in this hip hop community and as somebody that the mainstream pundits keep biting our fucking style. We need to do a better job of holding Eazy high, because maybe they'll actually bite some shit from us that matters and actually put Eazy up higher. Because I realize that for the space that we're in, and we're at the top of this independent space, it really is on the mainstream people to hold Eazy up high, and they don't. But since they like stealing our shit so much, maybe they can steal this Eazy shit and give Eazy some love.
Rest in peace, Eazy-E, man. And we'll keep it West Coast, and I want to talk about Kendrick possibly being slid to third because of all of this Drake and J. Cole collaborative. I don't want to say just music, but they're touring together. You would think this would be an opportunity for, the three-headed monster to come together, but it's not. So, where does this leave Kendrick?
The way Scary Hours 3 sound and the way Cole been rapping, it's going to be third place. We already know who got the hits and got the sales on lock.
Yeah.
All right? And so really this was more or less about, well, who's really the MC of this era? And that's been a Cole.
That's Cole.
And that's been a Cole and Kendrick conversation. And that's why I was like, oh no, him making that whack album, that matters, because it's like he was in first place, but it's not like those guys weren't clicking on the heels of.
Right.
And so, no. It's just like that Wilt and Bill Russell thing. It's like, oh no, you sliding back while another man step up will have you losing your spot.
Well, the thing is, man, especially and we talk about this, to ad nauseam, man, like we're in a very active era right now. You know what I mean? People putting out albums every year. People put collaborating super heavy. I wouldn't be surprised if Drake and J. Cole made a whole album together. That wouldn't be a shocking thing to happen. But when you have taken a break from 2000, 17? Or was it 16? I think it was 16.
17. Damn it, 17. Damn it, 17. You
I
keep reminding me. It's been so long.
So, yeah. So, when you take a break from 2017, you don't have any real memorable features in that light. And then you come back in 2022, 5 years later, with Mr. Morale to, I would say mixed reviews, because some people love it, some people hate it. And
that shit is whack.
And then nothing but like we're hearing like hillbilly stuff, and the stuff with
which is whack too.
Yeah, the stuff with Baby Keem is not hitting. And so when those things are going on,
it's not good.
Your spot does slide. Because we can't keep talking about Good Kid, Mad City. We can't keep talking about To Pimp a Butterfly. We can't keep talking about Damn or even Section 80. That's a long, long time ago. And yes, you were ahead of those guys then. Those guys kept working. They kept putting out material. They're putting out materials to this day. And like you said, from an MC standpoint, what J. Cole's been doing, these are things that I would have expected Kendrick to be doing.
This is what Cole is doing is what we thought Kendrick was going to do.
Mm-hmm. Dominate lyrically.
Yes.
And get on everybody's stuff.
Exhibitionist.
Uh-huh.
Supreme.
I think Kendrick's voice limits him in the feature category, in my personal opinion.
I think his attitude and his behavior limits him in that category. This is what I mean. When you deify somebody too fast, it's like, don't ever get it twisted. He thinks way more of himself than he should right now.
Oh, you think that got to his head?
It obviously got to his head. Like, oh, I don't need to do features. I'm the guy. People need to be coming to me. I don't need to be doing all of that. Like,
well, I always heard that Rich the Kid song, right? What's the name of that Rich the Kid song that he's on? They'll probably tell me in the chat. But it was supposed to have Rich the Kid, Kendrick, and Ferg on it. And the rumor is that Kendrick wouldn't get on it if somebody else was on it. And see, it's that type of stuff.
Who is this nigga? Whitney? Mariah? You a diva?
Michael Jackson. LP with the super chat says, Shump said dudes wouldn't take shots because they didn't want to mess up their shooting percentage. That's why JR would take so many threes on the Cavs. Kobe ain't care about his percentage. it's why they're underwhelming.
No, Kobe's just a gunner. Like Larry Bird and Kevin Durant take 20 to 22 shots a game. They just hit 12 to 13 of those shots. That's
Kobe's
it at the end of the day.
day.
Yeah, it's just it at the end of the day. It's like people need to accept Kobe for what he is, flaws and all.
I love Brett Favre for that.
But it's like, how about this? For a game, much like with Kobe, I'll take Brett Favre over Aaron Rodgers for a game. But for a season, and I want to win, no, Aaron Rodgers is better for a season. And the numbers consistently prove that. It's the same thing going on with KD and Bird when it comes to this Kobe shit. It's like, no, they're consistently a better shooter than him. Every season, from every metric, from 2, from 3, from free throw. You can't sit up there and make that shit up. They like, well, Kobe shot more. Then why his numbers don't look like Mike's? Because Mike is still almost a 50% shooter, and he's more of a gunner than Kobe. Explain the shit.
Well, he shot from closer range, too. But, yeah,
nope, young Kobe was at the hole all the time. I don't want to hear
like
that.
Jordan.
Nobody was ever at the hole like Mike.
Yeah, and Jordan
Mike
wasn't even really
people.
attempting. He wasn't really attempting any three-point shots like that. He was a way smarter shooter.
How about this? Kobe is a better three-point shooter than Mike in people's mind. Go look at the numbers.
I think this is what I will say. I know
numbers
we're
don't lie.
This.
Your feelings aren't facts. Your feelings aren't facts.
If there was a 3-point contest between Jordan and Kobe, I would think Kobe would win that.
I don't think anybody's beating Michael Jordan in anything in any contest.
Well, he did do a 3-point contest and bombed it. You remember? It's on YouTube.
Is it?
Yeah.
What year was that?
He made like 3 shots.
What year was that?
It was the 80s.
He couldn't shoot yet. Magic didn't learn how to shoot like a set 3-point shot till like 7-8 years in the league. Magic was out here winning MVPs without a fucking jump shot.
Mad Max to the super chat says Kobe played in the hardest defensive era though.
That's a lie. Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson's defensive era was the toughest defensive era. Niggas was literally clotheslining each other and like not getting kicked out of the game. Kobe didn't play in that league. Kobe came around the time when the hand check got taken away, as a matter of fact.
So
Gary Payton used to put his forearm on a nigga's back.
Yeah, it's a different era. What I was gonna say, Kendrick. Let's get back to that. So, is he secure in this third spot? Because many people will sit here and tell you like, yo, there's no way you could put Drake ahead of Kendrick. Do you put Drake on an all-time list over Kendrick at this point? Because Billboard got Kendrick at number 2.
How about this? For me, it wasn't even conversational a few years ago if he was better. And so the fact that we're having the conversation for me is part of the problem. The way that I'm feeling right now, it's like, have you listened to Scary Hours 3? Like, really listen to it?
Mm-hmm.
This is some of Drake's better stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he's...
The turnaround, too. Everything that we allot, and I know Drake's not Jigga when it comes to the lyricism, but everything we allot Jay for in that time where Jay had the game on lock, Drake's doing that.
Hold on.
You know what I'm saying?
People are like, the hand check got taken away in 2004. You mean the year Kobe started scoring a lot of points, guys? Thank you. That's my whole point. When the real defense was getting played, he wasn't that primetime scorer. When the hand check went away is when Kobe started going for 30. So y'all are making my point for me.
That's not a bad point. But yeah, back to the Drake thing, right? Drake's turnaround time and him being able to put out the Scary Hours 3 in such a small... That's something that Jay would have done in 98, 99, 2000. We allotted Jay for being on top of the game because of his quick turnaround. Now, granted, lyrically, I wouldn't say Volume 3 is his strongest moments. You know what I mean? It was about the hits and the turnaround. So if we're going to allot Jay for that and hold him high for that in that era, which he was held super high for, we can't really have too much of a problem with Drake doing it.
We can't. That's
now,
what
granted,
I mean.
He's not the lyricist that Kendrick is, but, I mean...
See, a lot of us...
I don't know.
A lot of us want to give it to Kendrick because of what he did 10 years ago.
It's the discography thing. That's what's holding Kendrick down. That's his foundation.
Right, but
that's his everything.
But here's the thing. It's like, well, when the discography is like the only thing, because it's like, okay, are you the best lyricist of this era? It's like, no, that's looking like Cole. Are you the best hit maker of this era? No, that's Drake. So you're the best album maker. How'd your last album sound? Okay, so what you do well, you need to do well to hold your spot. He's not doing what he does well to hold his spot. they're doing what they do well to hold their spot. And quite frankly, Drake has upped his
for a
bar
longer
game.
time.
Like Drake upped his bar game. Like I don't think people realize it's like midway through his career, he lyrically got better. And I wouldn't say he's been ascending ever since, but he's operated at a high level ever since.
He's very confident on the mic.
Too many people want to remember like 09, 2010 Drake that was more sing-songy and hit maker and on all the hooks. It's like, no, there's that dude that made back to back, and pretty much since then he's had bars.
Who had the better verse on Fucking Problem? Drake or Kendrick? I always thought Drake did.
I think Drake does. I think Kendrick's moments are more memorable on there.
Yeah, he had the memorable lines. You know what I mean? But I think from beginning to end, I would say Drake's verse is better.
It's kind of like on 4 3 2 1. It's like you could argue Meth or Red have the better verse than DMX, but DMX kind of, you know what I'm saying? Or even Cannabis. It's like, no, but DMX's moment on there is kind of like more memorable than those things, you know, outside of the obvious.
Michael Williams of the Super Chat says, if Kendrick wrote on Fucks Them Niggas, people would call it a song of the decade. Because I'm part of the problem. Sometimes the P. Sometimes the Roblem. Yeah. Matt Max of the Super Chat says 94 to 04 is statistically the lowest scoring era. Isaiah had a game where the Pistons scored 186 points in the 80s. Defenses wasn't tough. Google it, Mike. I'm right. I remember hearing about that game. I didn't watch that game, but I remember.
94 to 04, statistically the lowest scoring era. Okay, so Kobe didn't start scoring a lot of points till 2000, 2001. He came out in 96.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So who was scoring during that time? Mike.
Yeah.
Akeem. Shaq.
We keep getting pulled back into this conversation.
Because
we're trying to move forward.
These dudes just want to be in their feelings. You need to go check numbers. That's what the numbers are there for, so you can actually go see how somebody performed. It's like, no, Kobe was never like, he's an assassin. He's not a great shooter, Mike. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Y'all are looking at those moments where he took over and dominated. A lot of those shots were clutch shots. You're remembering Kobe in the clutch. All-time great clutch player. Would take him over KD and LeBron in the clutch any day. Not taking him over Mike or Larry Bird in the clutch. But in the clutch, that's what you're remembering. Y'all are not looking at the totality. Kobe had to work to get to that point that y'all are talking about.
Let me ask you this, because this is something that, you know, kind of just popped up in my mind, right? We're not in an album-making era right now, really. I mean, the era that Drake, Cole, Kendrick, I'll throw Nicki in there too, have thrived in, aren't album eras. So if you're the best album maker in that era, does that put you on top of the era? Because you're not really doing what the era calls for. You know what I'm saying? That's like if you're in a scoring era and you're the best rebounder or something. That might not be the best correlation, but you know what I mean.
No, I get exactly what you're saying. So when I did my first Mirror Music podcast live with Andrew earlier.
That's what I meant to start the show off with.
Oh, yes, thanks.
Yeah. I want to talk about that too.
Well, Andrew enlightened me something about pop culture music like he always does. And he's like, you know, the Beatles retired from live shows to start making albums because the pandemonium of their fandom was so out of whack. But when he said that, I realized something. It's like, so you're telling me they're the best single makers, essentially, and then they turned into the best album makers. So it doesn't matter what era you reside in when you're great. It's like, no, they went from being the greatest live band and having a whole bunch of 45 single records that literally made them wealthy before they were 25 to literally changing the way popular culture rock albums are made once that live stage stuff was over, because they were so big on stage, they literally felt uncomfortable going outside. And that's when they started making albums.
They started the pandemonium. They started the album making as we know it. Very important group. And I mean, shit, I would say. I
didn't even realize that till he said that today. I was like, so hold on. I was like, so these guys were hit makers and single makers, kind of like this era now. And then about how fanatic people were about their single and hit making and stage performance transitioned to making albums, conceptual albums, which literally for rock and roll at least, and I can't really speak because I'm trying to think of like the Temptations' first few albums. I mean, not the Temptations, the Isley Brothers' first few albums is more kind of like doo-woppy a little bit.
Yep.
But they literally changed their whole fucking formula, and guess what? They were still the best, because when you're the best, you can adapt to anything. Look at what Wayne's doing right now. Look at what Nas has been doing. It's like, no, when you're great, it doesn't matter what time it is. It's just fucking game
It's
time.
game time. I want to ask you because you know what? No, go ahead and answer what I said though too about or what I asked about Kendrick though. Do we still need to hold him high because he's a great album maker in a non-album making era, or does that slide him back and we actually need to promote the people who are doing what the era calls for?
Okay, so most people would have him over a KRS-One at this point, right?
Yeah, they shouldn't, but yeah.
How many great albums KRS-One got? Because it's more than Kendrick got. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we need to maybe like, if we're going to rate him based on his albums, well, he's going to have to fall back. You want to know why he's going to have to fall back? Because Nas just did his whole career damn near in 3 years in terms of album making. Because KRS-One made 4 classic Boogie Down production albums before he even released a solo project, and he's got 3 great solo projects. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the great albums Ice Cube has made. It's like when I go back and listen to Ice Cube shit, it's like, hold on. First of all, none of these albums are better than Death Certificate. And I'm not sure,
Not to me.
And I'm not sure if they're better than America's Most either.
Yeah.
Okay? So like,
I think it's very short-sighted when we get those type of takes.
Cube walking around with about 4 or 5 great albums.
Yeah.
That's more than Kendrick. Kendrick walking around what? He's got, are we counting Section 80?
Yeah, we'll count Section 80.
Section 80, Good Kid, Pepper Butterfly, Damn. He's walking around with 4.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop acting like that's everything. That puts you ahead of a G-Rap and a Kane, which is a lofty feat. Do you even have Redman beat in the album making process?
I think I would say like an overall appeal, his versatility as his subject matter and content and all that, I would put him ahead of Redman.
So he deserves to be up high, but it's like, oh, is he KRS? No. Nas?
Yeah, that's
Jay, Rock M, Ice Cube. Don't get me started with Scarface. Scarface never made a bad album, Mike. That's what I'm saying. Like, think about that. That man came out in like 1988 in between the Ghetto Boys and his solo career, never made a bad project.
Yeah. Deontay Smith with the super chat says, Drake over K-Dot is like a boxer who won the fight not because he was a better fighter, but because he wanted it more.
I like that.
That matters.
No, I like that.
Yeah. You gotta want it. And honestly,
you have
man,
to want it. I don't
keep it real. Jay is held where he is because he wanted it.
I can't hang my hat on somebody who really don't want it, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what we've done with 3,000 all these years. And I mean, I say that respectfully. I think that we wanted for him some things that he didn't even want for himself. If somebody like Andre really wanted it, then everything that we wanted him to be at, he would be at.
What do you think about Pitchfork Sorry Asses rating the album with an 8.4 and then calling it a hip hop album?
We kind of touched on this last episode about, certain artists not being able to escape the genre of hip hop. Anybody that's black,
8.4?
You're probably going to get thrown into the urban category.
The fuck is that?
At 8.4? I mean, I don't really know how
That's
to
the
rate
highest rated rap album this year they did.
It's insulting in that sense. And I'm not saying this to denigrate 3000's album, but it sounds like from their publication, the less hip hop you're making, the better.
Shame on them.
Yeah, I mean, it should have never been labeled rap or alternative rap or whatever. I think that whole alternative rap category is dangerous in itself.
I mean, to be honest with you, they're just a crackpot publication at this point to me. They don't do anything that's like really viable to any real musical community. It's like they need better writers. I told them, I offered last year, I was like, hey, y'all need some help. Me and Mike D will write some reviews for y'all so y'all will just stop being so shitty at your job.
Or just debate some of the writers that they do have. And, and this is...
Or maybe they should edit some of these articles and maybe ask themselves, it's like, hey, well, why did you give this review this score before we put it out to the masses?
I used to be a big fan of what Pitchfork did back in the days when I was, really hung up on the yes. I still am. But when I first discovered them and their takes on, alternative and rock music, I always felt were pretty on point. It's not until they start delving into the hip hop sphere where I was like, whoa, these guys don't know what they're talking about.
Just stay away.
They rated Bombs Over Bad Dad. I think they did like the top 100 songs of like the first decade of the 2000s. They rated Bombs Over Bad Dad by Outkast the best song of the 2000s. They did. They did that.
Of the 2000 to 2010,
Yeah.
it's
Or
in the
2009, I think.
it's in the conversation, Mike. I'm not going to knock them for that. Bombs
Oh
over
no,
Baghdad.
I'm not knocking them for it. I was like, in the way they described it and explained it, I was like, I get it. Because the decade that was here to come, Bombs Over Baghdad gave you that. Sonically, subject matter wise, and then Bombs actually ended up over Baghdad a few years later. So they talked about the prophecy of it, sonically where it took things, how it opened up the decade. It was really impressive. And I was like, I get it.
Mike, dead clocks twice a day. They write twice a day. Dead clocks are. They only write once.
They had the yes.
See, where does
what's the song I'm thinking?
Where does the Jesus Walks fall? Where does
It was pretty high.
In the Club fall? Through the Wire.
In the Club was up there.
And this is what I mean.
I remember Crazy in Love being too high for my taste, but
it's not a rap song.
No, they named the top 100 songs. Bombs Over Baghdad was one of the top 100.
Oh, even over all the white people?
Over everything.
Ah.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, okay, that's what's up.
Editor-in-chief must have been messing with a sister around the time.
Clocks was up there from Coldplay.
Clocks from Coldplay is cold.
Crazy from Gnarls Barkley. It had some, legitimate stuff up there. But I'm saying all
Crazy's
that to say, I looked at Pitchfork like, yo, these people know what they're talking about. This was back in like 2009, 2010.
Yeah, they don't know shit now, Mike.
But now looking at some of their takes on hip hop, it's they need help.
Mike, I've offered my help. Now I'm going to have to charge them an absurd rate about the vulture shit they've been doing. It's like the price just went up when they gave Andre the 8.4. I was like, no. If they want me to write for them, it's going to be so much.
Did you read the review? Because I didn't get.
Why would I do that?
I want to see why they possibly gave it.
They don't have.
Maybe
we
should read that.
They don't have a rationale. They lost me as soon as they named it a hip hop album. Just because
I might pull it up in a second. I might pull it up and read some of it in a second.
We don't need to give them a lot of airtime. I feel you. We'll see if we have time.
DJ Bruce Almighty with the super chat says, "How many great albums does Drake have?" And even we talk singles. His singles do numbers, but are they really great? I say no.
I say yeah. First of all, he's got, if you're reading this, it's too late. Take Care.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one? I'm missing one.
Oh, you're talking about the one where his head's in the clouds.
Yeah.
Nothing was the same.
Nothing was the same.
Yeah.
This Scary Hours is probably 4.
I mean, people still hold So Far Gone very high as well.
So Far Gone? Thank Me Later?
I don't know about Thank Me Later. I think Me Later was his industry album, and he was able to find himself after that.
I think he's made 5 to 6 really dope projects, though. I just don't know how classic they are because my rap aesthetic is different and more traditional. Mm-hmm. But objectively, no, this man done made about 5 or 6 great projects. That's what I'm saying. Kendrick hasn't made 5 or 6 great projects. He's made 4. These are facts. So it's like, is he in 3rd place? It's like, yes, hand this nigga a bronze medal until he proves otherwise.
I mean, his album making is one thing, right? But the problem I have, and we've seen this from all of our greats, his feature game is not strong. And he's in a feature-heavy era, and his singles or his, I guess, hit records, if you will, or notable records, I don't think there's anybody in our top 10 that he could beat in a versus.
Okay.
Is there anybody really in our top 15 to 20 that we could honestly say Kendrick could beat in the verses? Could Kendrick beat Common in a verse?
No. So this goes back to the Kobe thing where I'm like, okay, like let's look at the features the same way you look at the shooting percentages and the points. It's like, go look at the other guys that he's compared to shooting percentages and points and tell me how can he be your champion? He can be in the all-time great conversation, just like Kobe. But in relationship to the counterparts that are as great as him, the numbers, much like the features, reflect that it ain't like that. Period.
I wanted to ask you, though, how was Mirror Music episode today, and explain to the people what it was about, and direct people over there.
We did Hey Jude and Jesus Walks. We did a comparative analysis of those songs because they're arguably the 2 most important songs in 2 of the greatest music catalogs that we've ever seen, quite frankly. And we just kind of wanted to start off covering some of the big moments and some important moments. Hey Jude is, to quote Andrew, one of the Beatles' 2 or 3 most important songs. And for me, Jesus Walks, although not Kanye's best song, I don't even think it's the best song on The College Dropout. It may not even be top 5 for me. But it
Mm.
is still his most important song because think about this. He really did have people in the club singing Jesus Walks.
You know, Jay-Z said that Jesus Walks is Kanye. No, yeah, he said Kanye's most important song.
It
He
is.
said the second most important is Big Brother. That's what he said. That's what he said.
So
When
arrogant.
he was on 106, they asked him about the Big Brother song. He said, "Yeah, I think it's his most important song since Jesus Walks," or something. He said.
There's something about Can't Tell Me Nothing that it's like, that's the Kanye I want to remember.
Can't Tell Me Nothing is Kanye.
That's Kanye. And so for me, it would go Jesus Walks and then Can't Tell Me Nothing. Because for me,
I'm going to go Hey Mama and then Can't Tell Me Nothing. But yeah.
Well, here's the thing. The job of an artist is to bring you into their world and reveal who they are, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing reveals who Kanye is like Can't Tell Me Nothing.
I got one. All Falls Down.
That was in my head.
All Falls Down tells
that
you
was
exactly who this guy is.
Okay,
from beginning to end.
So All Falls Down is my favorite song on The College Dropout. Yeah. I don't know if it's as important as Can't Tell Me Nothing and Jesus
It's
Walks,
not as important.
Right.
But it tells you who the guy is.
I prefer it. I actually think it's better than both of those records personally. I think All Falls Down is one of his top 3 or 4 records. Like that, Flashing Lights, and Roses are my 3 favorite Ye records.
Buy a lot of clothes, but we don't really need them. Things we hide to cover up what's inside. Because they made us hate ourselves and love their wealth. Like, this is him.
Shorty screaming where the dollars at. Drug dealer by Jordan's crack, head by crack. And a white man get paid off of all of that. That's Ye.
And then he's
that's
like,
the guy I voted
for. I did it too, basically, you know?
That's the guy I voted for, Mike. Oh, you want to know what? One thing that Andrew and I did touch on, and I kind of want to bring this up because, you know, I was like, not to be funny, Andrew, you're a middle-aged white guy. What do you think about the fact that I voted for Kanye? He's like, I don't love it. He was like, I don't really agree with the decision. And then we had a conversation about Trump, and I'm like, well, white people allowed a man with mental health issues to get into the White House and go amok. And so why don't we kind of look at them comparatively the same way? It's like, no, it's okay for this dude to be visibly crazy and be broken down. And keep in mind, Kanye is probably wealthier than every man who's ever stepped into the Oval Office, including Trump, because Trump has to declare bankruptcy 13 times on businesses. Like, yeah, he ain't never been bankrupt. So people who know how to deal with money, it's like, well, this is a guy from the South Side of Chicago that made himself into a billionaire pretty much. Mm-hmm. So his come-up story is better than Trump's. His mental health issues are comparable to Trump's. Some of the outlandish things he says, comparable to Trump's. You know what you got a problem with? You got a problem with his black-ass skin. Not Andrew, but the establishment. And
what did Andrew say to that?
He said it was a valid point. Because it is. That's why I keep on trying to tell people. It's like, oh, you can keep letting all these crazy-ass white people in here think they know about money. No, you ain't know just about money as these guys, and he just as deranged as these guys. Give me the deranged that look like me.
And I wanted to ask
we got some people in here that's going to vote for Trump again instead of Kanye. Why?
I wanted to ask you, though, without giving away the whole show, what is the importance of Hey Jude to the Beatles catalog?
Okay, I think, first of all, it's like
why is it comparable to where Jesus Walks is?
Because I think it's one of their most anthemic songs, and for what they do popular culture-wise, and this is what I learned from doing mirror music. The melody and the voice matters. Mm-hmm. And in pop culture rock music, there's probably nobody better vocally and melody-wise than Paul McCartney. I started off the show by saying this is like, oh, I know why the Beatles broke up. It's because Paul McCartney started whooping John Lennon's ass when it came to song making, and John couldn't take it anymore. And Hey Jude is like the prime example of that. But the chant at the end, you know, Andrew also informed me, it's like, well, that's all of them singing at the end. I'm like, yeah, but that's Paul's song. And it's just, Paul McCartney make white people stadium music. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he's wealthy as fuck. He, like Andrew also pointed out to me, he's like, yeah, he's probably the richest guy in music walking around right now, including Kanye. It's like, no. His net worth is upwards of $1 billion off music.
Off of music.
Ain't no.
He didn't have to make no shoes.
He ain't make no Paulies. There ain't no Paulies running around. You feel me?
He have to do a deal with Adidas and none of that stuff.
No, he ain't got
Gap.
no. Yeah, he ain't running around with Anna Wintour or none of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mad Max to the super chat says, I got Kobe 8th all time. And I got Bird over Kobe, but the slander is not going to stand. KD is 12 at 12. It's crazy.
Who's better?
He said Doctor should be getting his praise with 3 MVPs and 3 championships.
I got Dr. J right behind KD at 13. And to be honest, part of what hurt Dr. J is the fact is that he played in a lesser league too when he got 2 of those MVPs and 2 of those rings. Actually, I'm sorry, 3 of those MVPs and 2 of those rings. Because here's the reality of the matter: when Dr. J,
Dre,
right,
I was thinking the same thing.
when Dr. J went to the NBA and Bird and Magic was there, did he win any MVPs? Was he the man on his championship team?
Well, Dr. J had to play in the ABA too.
But that's what I'm saying. It was a lesser league. He won 3 ABA MVPs. It was a lesser league.
Mm-hmm.
He was the best player in a lesser league, like a Bill Russell or a Wilt Chamberlain.
That's fair.
And he won 2 of his 3 rings in the ABA. His NBA career reads 1 NBA championship, no MVPs. This is what Magic and Larry walking around, literally winning rings and MVPs damn near from the jump. So he's at 13 because he deserves to be at 13. That's not a slight on Dr. J to have him at 13. Most people from this generation don't even have him in the top 25 a lot of the time. They think Karl Malone and Barkley are better. That's crazy.
It's just different with the super chat says, man, Kendrick don't care anymore. Just by the way he's moving these days. He wants it for him. We want it for him more than he does, I think is what he's saying. He lost his hunger for it. We got to move on.
Hold on. Think about this. People like, why you hold KD so high? I'm going to say this again. Name another NBA player you know that done sent a top 10 NBA players home. Because all those other guys are in the top 10. KD done sent Kobe home, Duncan home, and LeBron home. Has the man on all of those teams. You know the only other person I can think of that did that? Larry Bird.
Yeah, Larry Bird was a soldier.
Larry Bird sent Magic home, sent Kareem home, sent Isaiah home, sent Dr. J home, sent Moses Malone home, sent Michael Jordan home. It's like, no, it matters who you send home. Steph ain't sent nobody home. Mike, who he sent home? He sent home Jason Tatum and a broke down LeBron James team.
KD and Westbrook.
KD and Westbrook. I'm talking about like finals. I'm talking finals talk. That's what I'm saying. It's like, who he sent home?
Tatum.
Send home Tatum. Okay.
All right. Deontay Smith with the super chat says, Power is Ye's second most important song. This period is when he went from superstar to icon. And on that note, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy celebrates 13 years today.
Yeah.
I do think that
best rap album.
Think that Graduation is his superstar moment, even though it's hard to say because Late Registration's kind of that. I don't know. I guess we could look at it like this. You know, his debut is where it's like, okay, this producer can actually rap a little bit, and he put together pretty much a really good compilation.
Right.
And Late Registration is, he's an artist.
He's a star.
Now. Yeah, he's a star. Graduation, superstar.
Correct. He keeps on ascending.
Yeah, and then My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is iconic moment.
I mean, it's for me personally, it's my second favorite Kanye album after Late Registration. Mm-hmm. But like I've told people, it's the best rap album of the last 13 years.
Still.
All of the Lights, Power, Gorgeous, So Appalled, Devil in a New Dress, Runaway.
You know, it's interesting, man.
Classic.
When we do our song for song matchups, you could tell which albums are next level over others. And when I was playing records from that album, they were beating these Jay-Z records. Like even Gorgeous.
It's beating Good Kid, Mad City records too. That's what I'm saying. It's just like when I say that, people are like, "What about Good Kid, Mad City?" I'm like, go play those records next to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
When you have a Paid in Full, a Doggy Style, a My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy,
a Purple Tape,
It Takes a Nation. It makes your catalog different. Illmatic. It makes your catalog different than the next person.
Shit different, man.
It makes it different than your own catalog.
It's different,
and this is one of those albums.
It's different.
And you're right. I think it is the best hip-hop album of the past 13 years. One thing that's important about it, in my opinion, is it kind of ushered in a new generation, or that generation that was about to be next. Kid Cudi got his shine there.
That's the inspiration for this next generation. Yeah. Like all those dudes, how about this? This is right after My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is really when all the Kanye babies really sprout up and start running around.
Yeah.
It's because of My Beautiful Dark Twisted
Fantasy. And Nicki had her moment on there too. Nicki had her moment.
I didn't even bring up Monster.
Ross had his moment. Kid Cudi had his moment.
Pusha had 2 moments.
Pusha had some moments.
Ray had a moment.
Yeah.
Shit is gorgeous to
I
quote
mean,
the song.
Pusha wasn't a solo artist before that album, really.
No, he was still doing clip shit and still doing mixtapes and stuff. He hadn't even released it, My Name Is My Name yet. It's like, yeah, that launched his solo career.
Yeah. I feel like to a certain degree, Monster launched Nicki's solo career.
Correct.
And granted, she had records out.
It launched Cudi too.
It launched Cudi.
It launched Ross too. That was Ross's best verse up until that point. So think about this. It launched Ross into a new stratosphere, Pusha into a new stratosphere, Cudi, Nicki. Name another album from the last 15 years that's even doing close to doing something like that. And then you actually get to the songs, and then you actually get to the shit that he's talking about, and then how personal it is. It's like when shit like Blame Game comes on, it's like it literally has everything.
Yeah.
And then there's just, I mean, and he's right, Power is special. Tell SNL, Kiss My... I remember the first time I heard it, Mike, I was riding towards 285 the way I was coming today the first time I heard Power, and that shit had me going berserk because I was like, he's back with a vengeance.
Yeah. I think I heard it in that pizza spot, Slice, that's on in Castleberry.
Yeah,
Hill.
Castleberry, right off Peters. I know you're talking about Slice, man. Still open.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And those drums, I was like, whoa.
He's like, tell SNL, kiss my whole ass.
How he was like, the system's broken, prison's open, the school's closing, or something like that. The school's closing, the prison's open. I was like, oh, yeah.
When he said, honey, we rolling with some light-skinned girls and some Kelly Rollins, I was like, yes, we are, yeah. Yes, we
LP
are.
with the super chat says, that Boston team bounced KD in the first round. Michael Williams with the super chat says, Drake is one number one album away from equaling Jay-Z's record. Not a Drake fan, but that's an incredible feat. Taylor would end up with the most, though. I don't understand the fandom with Taylor Swift, to be perfectly honest with you. I know it's not really a part of our show's format, but
Andrew has got me to understand that she is a very talented songwriter and writes her own shit.
Yeah.
So it's not like she sources out other writers to the level that somebody like a Madonna does or a Janet does.
Right.
But she's not Madonna or Janet either, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
No.
But she's definitely getting some Madonna Janet treatment running around this motherfucker.
She's getting a lot of treatment, and
but I don't see the hype either. But some of that I feel personal about the cultural appropriation that she did early on too. You know,
explain.
Go look at some of her early videos. They literally have the thick ass black women as her backup dancers, while she, to make her fit in. Just go look at some of her videos.
Yeah, I guess
her visual aids are very Bruno Mars-ish. Vulture.
Well, Kanye tried to warn us, man.
He did.
Kanye was like,
he did,
guys. This woman's going to win every single award for the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what he went up there and said.
Right.
Like, listen, I'm gonna give you your moment. But, Beyonce just dropped the greatest music video of all time. You know what? I understand obviously he was being hyperbolic and he was on that Hennessy and everything that night.
Yeah.
But just like this, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and that interruption, if you will, is a part of this era, a part of the era of this album, that Kanye. You can kind of separate Kanye in eras. But that Beyonce Single Ladies video, I understood what he meant by that. Obviously, it's not a better video than Thriller or Smooth Criminal or anything like that. But for the YouTube era and for the era of people getting online, learning choreography, that video was suited for like the next generation of viral. It was a viral video before viral was a thing. You know what I mean? So it was a viral music video before viral was even a thing. And he saw that like, oh, this video is great. This is the future.
And I think I think some of his
foresight.
I think some of his early ethos was also just, hey, why y'all propping this white girl up that's not as talented as Beyonce above Beyonce?
And see, now they're comparing her to Beyonce. And many people, I've seen these debates and it's like, really? Come on.
Now, I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan, but that's not even a conversation.
Beyonce doesn't make music for me, but the talent speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying?
Diana Ross on these hoes.
Yeah, I mean, the talent speaks for itself. I'm not the biggest Bruno Mars fan, but the talent speaks for itself. And you even have to admit that Bruno Mars is talented.
No, he's super talented,
exactly,
Mike.
Yeah.
He's a gifted singer, dancer, songwriter.
An instrumentalist.
Yeah, artistically and creatively, he's great. You just ain't gonna be jumping in no damn Cadillacs and Versace shirts and gold chains when I just saw your ass with a little top hat and a t-shirt sitting on a stool playing a guitar. No, no, no.
But yeah, I don't even, for some people who get, I guess this crossover success and become huge, they might not make music for me, but I understand.
Yeah.
I don't really totally understand the Taylor Swift hype to that degree, but I feel like Kanye in this era of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy tried to warn us.
It's like Christina Aguilera.
You knew it was coming.
I got Christina Aguilera. I got Britney Spears. It's like, oh, no, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm with that motion.
Exactly.
I ain't with this motion.
Yeah, they're elevating us slightly too high, man. Now,
like
if you want to do this with Adele or something, I get it.
No, Adele deserves that type of treatment.
Exactly. I get that.
I was also having the conversation with Andrew earlier that, here's why Janet's my GOAT, for women artists. It's like, no, nigga, Control got like 5-6 singles on it. Rhythm Nation got like 6-7 singles on it. Yeah. Not just regular records. These are classics.
Great records.
It's like, I think Rhythm Nation was the first, still might be the first album to have 7 top 10 songs or something like that. I was like, this motherfucker got 7 singles out of an album.
Yeah, man.
That's like a rapper's career.
No, it's not normal.
Not normal.
Yeah.
Shout out to Janet. Since we talking about Taylor Swift, I just want to talk about Janet instead. Curve the conversation back.
Yeah, nobody wants to with Janet.
Nobody wanted with Janet. I told you, she's the only person that's really giving Prince and Mike some run song-wise.
You really have to.
She's not going to win. She might win. She can win. She's not going to win.
She's not going to win. No. But, I mean,
if
somebody really knows what they're doing, they can really put up a fight.
That's what I'm saying. She's yeah. Catalog stupid,
you understood the power of Mike when we had our song for song matchup, man.
I don't understand why people was like, play this. I was like, I'm not playing fucking Housequake against something. You want me to play a Prince dance song versus a Michael Jackson dance song? Mike, that is like literally, to quote Chuck D, walking into the Terror Dome.
Well, I got to put together this Biggie and Pac list, or this Biggie list for Pac, so we can get that one done. But yeah. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm scared, man, because Pac got a crazy catalog. And to your point with the Michael and Prince thing, I can't really go reflective with Big. I'm not gonna win that way. And the bangers,
I can go
up for grabs.
I can go reflective and banger. Matter of fact, I can go back to back.
Michael Williams with the super chat says, "Who had the better verse on the Art of Storytelling 2? Nigga, we slum, kept all the guns. I gotta protect my family." I love Big Boy's verse, but that's Dre. I think that's one of his strongest verses on the album.
I think it's more of a conversation. I mean, I think it's Dre at the end of the day on both of them. I just think Big Boy is closer to him and I think that part 1 are both classic verses. I think part 2, Dre's verse is slightly better.
This is how I feel about Dre's performance on the Akumanai album altogether. And Big Boy gave us very strong performances and that's why it's a 5 mic album. Like, it's not a 5 mic album if half of your group doesn't come 10 for 10.
Right.
I just feel like, Return of the Gangster, that's Dre. Rosa Parks, that's Dre. Skew It on the Barbie, that's Big Boy. But Dre's not too far behind with that. Akumanai, that's Dre.
Okay.
Synthesizer, that's Dre. And then Dre takes a break. So, you got Slum.
I don't like that. It's like, you want to know why? And also, too, it's like, oh, you didn't want to rap to that beat. So that's Big Boy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, like, for me,
West Savannah's one of the strongest songs on the album.
And there's no... Slump and West Savannah are 2 of my 5 favorite records on Aquemini, and Dre is nowhere to be found.
And so you go Art of Storytelling. That's Dre. Art of Storytelling 2. I think that's Dre, too.
Mamacita's Big Boy.
It is.
Mamacita's Big Boy.
One of my personal favorite Big Boy.
Me, too. That's one of my personal favorite Big Boy verses.
He went crazy on there. That's Big Boy. Spodioti. Huh.
I actually like... See, this.
I like Big Boy's verse.
Big Boy's verse is better. Andre just has the more memorable part. Now, who else want to fuck with Hollywood Cult? Yeah.
Big Boy was speaking that real life.
Mm-hmm. Can't gamble and feeding baby on that dope money.
Might not always be sufficient.
But the United Parcel Service
didn't call you back because you had cloudy piss.
So now you back in the trap. Just that. Trap.
Yep.
Go and marinate on that. Yeah, that's Big Boy.
He was talking about the trap.
Yeah.
Y'all scared? Stray. paragraph indent. I'm making
Yeah,
10
that's
cents.
Dre. No, I was just thinking
But
of the
Big Boy
record.
killed that too.
I'm running the record down in my head. Yeah, that's Dre too.
Yeah, February 1st, 1975, my birthday. All right, but Liberation, that's a wash. Like, you know what I mean? And then Chunky Fighter, straight.
It is.
But again, these are all closer than
right. It's like Dre has the nod. How about this?
This is Dre's best performance on the album by far.
And Dre, for the most part, has always been the better MC. But I think what gets lost in the nuance is like even when Dre had the better verse, Big Boy was right there on his heels. Whenever Big Boy had the better verse, Andre was right on his heels. It's why it's a 5 mic album, Mike. Their mic performance on there is flawless.
Everybody's is. I don't think there's a weak performance on that album. It's kind of like Only Built for Cuban Links, where it's like everybody who's featured on there got strong verses. Cool
everybody.
Breeze, Backbone. When Timo starts off, piece by piece, this puzzle comes together. Sever your ties with the bad guys. Let the lies go. Nah. Everybody is clicking on all cylinders on that album.
The Cool Breeze verse is one of my favorite Breeze verses.
Yeah, Witch Doctor on Mamacita. Great verse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no. So everybody's, I don't think there's a bad verse on that album. What would be the weakest verse on the album?
Shit, Ray showed out on Skew It with him. That's what I'm saying. It's everywhere.
You know what? I'm going to be fair. I think the weakest verse, and it might be because it was new for them at the time, and, Big Boy's getting used to that chamber.
Synthesizer?
Yeah, Big Boy's verse on Synthesizer could be the weakest verse on the album.
I think Synthesizer is the only weak point of the album where it's like, no, they could have kept that and it would be even higher in the all-time ranking because that is the weakest song on the album to me.
It sounded futuristic at the time, but once they took things to where they took it, it sounds primitive now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. How about this? No, for me, my problem with Synthesizers, well, listen to Chunky Fire at the end. It's like they had already leveled up within the album with that sound.
I mean, listen to Bonds Over Bad Dad, and it's like...
That's a whole nother level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I see what they tried to do at the time, but it was new for them, so I get it. Marquez Davis with the Super Chat says, Mike, heard you say Cole might be dropping soon. Still the case? Happy Thanksgiving, fellas. I didn't say that. Somebody I know said that, but it does make sense.
Call it Thanksgiving.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it happens on Black Friday, Black Wealth and Power with the Super Chat says, what do you guys think was more important culturally? Ye's Bush or Swift interruption?
Bush.
Yeah, the Bush.
Give me Bush.
I mean, the Swift wasn't really, I guess, important in that sense. He just warned us.
It's not that George Bush doesn't care about black people. It's that whole generations of his family don't care about black people. Okay,
and
keep going.
The fact that he had Mike Myers up there shook.
That look on Mike Myers' face is priceless.
And Chris Tucker shook. The camera went to Chris Tucker. He was like bucking his eyes.
He's like, this nigga, yeah, wild.
Like, what do we say from here on out? He said it with such conviction, too.
Because it's the truth.
LP with the Super Chat says, says, crazy how 3000 is known for creativity, but can't create.
I'm gonna let you handle that.
Say he can't
I'm gonna let you
create.
handle that. Go ahead.
I think that this is what I think, and I have no inside information on this. I think that a person like 3000 and Dr. Dre as well, I think they create all the time. We just never are gonna hear it. So I think maybe there's some quality control to what's being created, though. You heard Lauryn Hill has rescheduled all of her shows because her she's suffering from a vocal issue.
No, I hadn't.
Yeah.
I wish her a speedy recovery, and I hope she can come back and give the fans what they want, which is a phenomenal and timely show.
Timely.
Yeah.
Michael Williams with the Super Chat.
As in, when you feel better, be on time.
Well, they're gonna have to wait till 2024.
That's fine. Williams, I'll wait.
Michael Williams with the Super Chat says, rank their lyricism in 96, best to worst. Jay, Jizza, Nas, Thought, and Andre. I'm gonna be fair.
What did Jizza do in 96?
Yeah, I don't know.
Liquid Swords is 95. I know it went into 96.
Yeah. Let's throw Jizza to the side. And this will kind of go into our next topic about most lyrical hip-hop albums. Lyrically, 96, I'm going to go Nas. Then I'm going to go Jay. I'm going to go Dre and then Thought.
I'm cool with that because I feel like 96 is Thought's coming out party as a lyricist. And he's got a lot of dope shit, but the three guys ahead of him all had verse of the year type shit going on. Most notably, Nas on It Was Written.
Right. Patricio with the super chat says, Coop, do you think that Janet will make a surprise appearance during Usher's Super Bowl show? 2024 is the 20th anniversary of the Nipplegate, and CBS still owes her an apology. CBS is hosting it again, too. I don't think she's ever going to get an apology like she should, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, so fuck CBS. And I hope that she comes out, though.
Well, CBS Morning.
She's been hanging out with JD again. Have you been seeing that?
Mm-hmm.
They're homies and shit. I like that.
CBS Morning did a piece on the Grandmaster Awards that Nas just did.
Well, that's because Ben and Felicia Horowitz are the ones that put those awards together.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Gail was doing the piece and stuff.
Whatever. Well, check, please.
She was there.
Yeah, so what? But I think also, too, it's like Nas didn't put that together. And so when CBS is covering it, you have to understand the optics of it aren't coming from a place of Nas and Mass Appeal putting it together. Felicia and Ben Horowitz put that together. Mm-hmm. And so had Nas and Mass Appeal put it together,
probably wouldn't have got that.
Best believe CBS would not have pulled up. So fuck a CBS. All right.
What was I going to say? Most lyrical albums. So did you want to talk the best rap albums this year? I think we kind of spoke on that, I believe, but
I mean, we can kind of we can wrap up with that. We can kind of go here first.
Okay. Most lyrical albums of all time. I saw a post where somebody was saying that, Reasonable Doubt and It Was Written are the two most lyrical albums they've ever heard, and they came out like a week apart or something. And I start thinking, like, what are the most lyrical hip-hop albums ever, top to bottom? I mean, It Was Written is a really...
Reasonable Doubt is up there as well. My immediate mind goes to Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, and It Was Written, though.
I was going to say Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em.
And Life After Death. I think all three of those albums lyrically are better than Reasonable Doubt. But Reasonable Doubt is up there. It's conversational.
Why would you say Life After Death? Because that's not a place that people normally go.
First of all, storytelling matters.
Yeah.
Some of the best rap stories we've ever heard are on those albums. That's Somebody's Gotta Die.
Yeah.
Niggas Bleed. I Got a Story to Tell. So we covered the storytelling aspect of it. Creatively, You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You. 10 Crack Commandments. Just as far as like on some rap shit, Notorious Thugs, Kicking the Door, Last Days, I Love the Dough.
Yeah.
Just as far as like lyrical exercise, he's got a What's Beef, A Long Kiss Goodnight, A My Downfall. No, it's pretty fucking masterful lyrically. It really, really is.
Yeah, where he was taking things stylistically, it's easier to look at it, from the lens of now, and we know what the possibilities are as an MC now. But back then, like you say, I was grimy in the early 90s, Far Behind Me. Like, nobody was really balancing all of those things out on a lyrical level like he did. Now, Tupac was able to balance those things out sonically, message-wise, delivery. But I think what Big did on Life After Death is he kind of took that blueprint that, Pac set out with All Eyes on Me.
I'm about to say Me Against the World.
He put some East Coast to it.
Me Against the World would be up there in my opinion if we're just talking lyrically. But here's what's special about Life After Death is it's like the stuff that you didn't think was lyrical when it came out is actually super lyrical. When the Remy's in the system, ain't no telling will I fuck 'em, will I diss 'em. That's what these hoes yelling. I'm a pimp by blood, not relate. No, it's like stuff like that. He was zoned out. He was. What's that? My Downfall? I dream filthy. My pops mixed me with Jamaican rum and whiskey. What a set off. Should have pushed the dead off.
Does Biggie have a bad verse? What's Biggie's worst verse?
I didn't love the Dolly My Baby verse, but that's like super young Big.
I like that verse.
I said I don't love it. I said I don't love it
when you call me Big Pop.
I'm wrong, Mike. That's dope. You want to know what it is?
Yeah, Super Cat Past the Man. It was like
Party and Bullshit wasn't like that. Okay. It's Party and Bullshit.
Lyrical lyricist pulling lyrics through my larynx.
You're right.
Chubby competitor. Yeah,
never mind. He's killing shit. He's killing shit from day step to the mic.
Well, yeah, we have to count from when he was on because really Party and Bullshit, he really wasn't ready yet. But even those aren't bad verses.
I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it. I mean, for me, it's still probably only built for Cuban links, Mike. Even over Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em and It Was Written, it's probably the Purple Tape.
I'm not mad at that.
Because, first of all, it's like, because when we talk about most lyrical album, we also have to keep in mind who's on the other albums. Like on It Was Written, it's like, well, Havoc and Prodigy versus Dope on Live Nigga Rap, but it ain't like that's no Guillotine or Verbal Intercourse or Ice Cream or Wu Gambinos. Let's get it right. Foxy verse on Affirmative Action, the arithmetic is wrong and we all know it. That's not how you push weight, Fox. Cormega's verse is just solid on Affirmative Action. It's not great. AZ's verse is dope as fuck on Affirmative Action.
Yeah.
And so some of those things, I think when people think about It Was Written, you're talking about Nas on It Was Written.
Yeah.
There are other people on It Was Written.
What do you think about Illmatic then?
That's up there. But the Purple Tape, Mike? Oh no, show me the bad verse on the Purple Tape. Show me the subpar verse on the Purple Tape. Even You God showed his ass, Mike.
Yeah, man.
Capadonna on Ice Water. Master Killer on Glaciers of Ice. Nas on Verbal Intercourse. Master Killer on Glaciers of Ice. That's one of my favorite rap verses.
With caution as you enter the symphony.
Degrees of punishment increase intensely. Syndrome is swung from the deadly drums, but the battle is won by swords being swung. Slice them with the vocal from the international vocalist. Your style is too local to fuck with this. All fits of antagonist. No assistance. Moving motionless. Mysterious swiftness. Thoughts roll. He sounds like the Jizza.
He does.
Thoughts roll down the shaft of the brain. Mental gives the signal to the physical. Whirlwind kicks and hits from every angle.
I don't know what was going on in them
Violent
sessions.
temperaments. Left continents dented. Poison vintage. Wine rhymes I invent. That's Master Killer. That shit
That's his best
crazy.
verse, in my opinion. That's a great verse.
It is.
It's a great verse.
Like, that should have been Rhyme of the Month whenever you heard Glaciers of Ice.
What was going on in them sessions, man? Like, everybody came with some of their best work.
The most special shit. Meth on Wu Gambinos.
Meth on Ice Cream.
Ray on Spot Rushers.
Yeah. Kappa on Ice Cream.
Ghost on
Guillotine.
Ghost and Jizz on Guillotine. Ghost and Ray on Criminology and Rainy Days. Ray on Incarcerated. Scarfaces. It's like, oh my God.
I love Incarcerated Scarfaces.
How about this? It's the Purple Tape because the Purple Tape has more oh my God lyrical moments than Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em and It Was Written.
You know said the Purple Tape is the best beat tape in hip hop too.
It is. I told you, Mike.
It's the most lyrical hip hop album and the best beat tape in hip hop. That's pretty high.
Mike, I told you it's the second greatest rap album of all time, in my opinion. I'm not pivoting off of that.
I'm not mad at that.
It's the second greatest rap album ever. So when you have the second greatest rap album ever, you've got a lot of things. Oh,
I
no.
will listen to it over Illmatic.
I do listen to it over Illmatic. This is what I mean. Illmatic is the #1 hip-hop album of all time because it's hip-hop's timepiece album. Nobody ever put together a hip-hop album that sounded like hip-hop the way Illmatic sounded. I told you, Illmatic is what hip-hop looks like from 86 to 94.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody encompassed that time period in hip-hop music like that one album encompasses a whole time period. And so everything that comes with it. It closed the book. Yeah. But just on some rap shit, Mike, the Purple Tape, just on some rap shit, it's like, what you want? You want beats? Yep. You want rhymes? Yep. That's the album.
LP with the super chat says 3000 did a GQ interview.
So what?
But he's introverted.
That's why
y'all go chill on 3000.
No, it's not that. He need to chill on himself. It's like, stop saying you don't like the attention, and then when your album come out, all of a sudden you doing all these interviews and want the attention.
Well, what I don't like,
NPR, GQ.
Yeah, I don't like the people out here spreading that this album is doing these numbers without promotion. Y'all do understand that doing a GQ interview is hella promotion. Doing a whole
especially for somebody who never does promotion.
Exactly,
because that's part of his marketing ploy. It's like, no, he gets to pull up and
just a rarity. Yeah, and even the photo shoots with the flute and all of those things, like this is marketing. And they're doing a great job at it. And the fact that people are even helping with the marketing by saying there is no promotion, it's wild.
He is the marketing and promotion. His scarcity, his rarity of doing interviews, his rarity of appearing, that is the promotion. Because when he pops up, it's like, oh my God, it's Andre. It's like, I'll just be like, yeah, where the bars at? You got some bars?
You know. It's
Did you ask Gip about this when you interviewed Gip?
I did. Well, yeah, you guys are gonna see
Thanks
that.
For asking thanks for asking the tough journalistic questions, Mike.
Yeah, I asked him about the fact that people.
I can't wait to see that part. I don't want to. I don't want to hear what he told you. I want to watch the interview like everybody else and find out.
Yeah, I think you might like his answer. CJ Kidd with the super chat says
because Gip is the main one holding him up. Gip is the main one that supports Andre even over Big Boy. Yeah. He's the main one. That's why I want to hear what he thinks specifically, because he's the one that holds Andre up the highest, and he's the one that holds DF up the highest.
He does.
Yes.
He does. There was a lot of that talk. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, why is Only Built for Cuban Links the only album referenced by their colored tape? Not like people call 93 to Infinity the blue tape. That was before Cuban Links.
All respect.
There's a story behind that.
All respect due to 93 till Infinity. Part of why we call it the purple tape is because the tape was purple, but also too, Mike, the quality of it. And because of the stuff they're talking about on the album, there's something about it that was very drug related and relatable and very like street oriented to it. It
Purple
really
hazy.
It really felt like you was picking up like a bag of dope.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. It was like a big bag of dope. It's like, oh yeah, their shit different. It's the purple tape. It's Wu-Tang. Like it was some other shit. Like there's literally like I'd never, even for whatever Enter the Wu-Tang is, which is groundbreaking and legendary and one of the 5 most important hip hop albums of all time. Sonically and lyrically, where they were on the purple tape, it was literally like smoking some crack out of a pipe, metaphorically speaking. Like to quote Nas on Taking the Blood, simply follow me flow, put poetry inside a crack pot and blow. That's what the purple tape is. And so it connects a lot of things. 93 to Infinity is just not on the same level as a purple tape. It's a classic. It's just not.
They didn't market it as a blue tape either. And, and I think that the fact that Wu-Tang doesn't get enough credit for their marketing excellence and genius, they knew how to take certain things and make it a thing.
It's like Blue Magic.
And the purple tape is one of those things. They understood what they had.
They understood the assignment. They understood the assignment, Mike.
Yeah.
But it's like, to be honest with you, the streets are the one that named it the purple tape. They didn't name it the purple tape. It's called Only Built for Cuban Links. We was like, man.
And they listened to the streets.
Yeah, it's like.
They picked up the mantle, yeah.
I remember the first time I seen it, I was like, the tape purple? It's like, ooh.
I wonder whose idea it was for that tape to be purple, though.
We should reach out to Ray and maybe ask.
Yeah, that's a genius moment.
I'd love to get
LP
Ray.
with the super chat says, Nas does the marketing. They say that 3K is doing. CJ Kidd says, also, Mike, I sent you a super chat, but it didn't go through. So I sent it in the email. You know what? Because CJ Kidd be looking out. Let me look that up real quick.
No, CJ Kidd be looking out. And be checking on our mental health, too, which is appreciated.
Yeah, for sure. Top 10, you got a list for the top 10 rap albums this year.
Yeah, I do. I got a list. Actually, I was hoping you could help me because I got the 9 and I was like, eh.
Oh, this is what CJ Kidd said. He says, wanted to say wish you great health, physical health.
Told you.
And mental.
See?
Also, did any of the features outdo Dre or Big on Akumana?
No.
The closest would be Cujo on Y'all Scared off the top of my head.
I was actually thinking Ray, but even on Skewed on the Barb, I mean, shout out to Ray, but he's got the 3rd best verse on there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
I like Cool Breeze on Slump.
I like Cool Breeze on Slump too. And I also like Witch Doctor on Mamacita. That's a dope ass verse.
It is. It's just not Big Boy's verse. Yeah. No.
And it's not Dre's verse either.
Yeah. I still think, you know what, Dre still has the best verse on Y'all Scared.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, I've always liked Gip verse on Y'all Scared more than Cujo's.
Gip's verse is great. It leads right into the Dre shit.
Yeah.
This world on Gip. Yeah. What? Sit high up on the hills to escape the flood. Situations of change like faces and names.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, fuck what you think. I love that verse.
Gip is actually, for me, Gip is probably the closest one to getting them, and that's on Y'all Scared if I had to call it. Because that's probably my second, because objectively, that's the second best verse on Y'all Scared, but it's my favorite verse on Y'all Scared is Gip's verse.
Speaking of Gip being featured on the Cavs record, Get Up, Get Out goes like this to me. CeeLo, Dre, Get Big. I don't know, man. That Gip verse is heavy though. It could be better than the Dre verse.
I don't think so. I love Big Boy's verse on Get Up. I think actually Gip is 4th on Get Up, but that's just me. Yeah.
Thinking that My City is the Big Lick for 96. Yeah, he was going in on that one.
So get up, stand up. So what said you pro-kid? See, when I was a youngster, used to be a fucking croquet. My mama made me stupid, but the devil, he made me smart. Taught me to jack them weak ass niggas for they fucking starters in the middle school. I was a bigger fool. I wore a tank top to show off my tattoo, thought it was cool. I used to hang out with my daddy's brothers. I call them my uncles. They've taught me how to smoke herb. I follow them when they ran numbers. So in the sense, I was Rosemary's baby. And then I learned the difference between a bitch and a lady. No, I don't know about that. Big boy crazy
Hey,
on
man,
there.
all 4 of those verses are crazy.
It's one of the best. You know what it is? It's one of the best rap songs ever that nobody talks about, actually.
Yeah.
But you want to know why? Because it doesn't get performed, Mike.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
And I wonder why it doesn't get performed.
Say less. Let's get to this list.
Oh, CJ Kid says, speaking of which, Coop, they don't call There's a Dark Side the red tape either. And
it's not as good.
That was drug/street related.
But
too.
It's the quality of the Purple Tape. You have to understand, after listening to the Purple Tape, you're literally asking yourself, is this the best rap album I've ever heard? None of those other albums do that. All respect due to There's a Dark Side, which is a classic. 93 Till Infinity, classic. After listening to neither of those albums, do you get the feeling it's like, this might be the best shit I ever heard? No, the Purple Tape does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reggie with the super chat says, Mike/Coop, you two have to pick 10 MCs each battle. Alternating your picks, pick your team. Next pick, who battles starting from round 1 through 10. And you can't pick Nas, J, Biggie, or Eminem.
That won't be a problem for Mike with the last one. Who you taking, Mike?
Oh, you have to pick 2. You two have to pick 10 MCs each battle. Pick your team. You know what, man? I gotta go with the people who won battles. KRS-One is one.
So okay, so you taking KRS-One, taking Rakim.
I like that. Give me LL Cool J.
Give me Big Daddy Kane.
That's a good one too. Give me. It's gonna surprise you. Give me Lupe Fiasco.
Give me Ice Cube.
Good one. Give me The Game.
Give me Black Thought.
I ain't never seen Black Thought in a battle. Give me 50 Cent.
Give me Cool G Rap.
I love it. Nah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
You're not going to win.
So I got the entertaining team. I got 50 Cent. I got The Game. I got Lupe Fiasco.
If 50 and Game don't
horse.
fight, I mean, you might be down 2 MCs by the time they end
We
up.
didn't pick Jada or Siegel.
If you take one, I'm taking the other. Who you taking?
I'm going to sit down Lupe for this situation and give me Siegel.
Damn you. Give me Scarface.
In a battle?
I'll take Face over anybody.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Cole can't take the top spot with just a feature run. He needs a classic album, the same reason that Busta is not on anyone's GOAT list. Albums matter. That's a fair point. But I feel like we're not in the album era, so unfortunately, I think albums matter, but does this generation feel like albums matter?
I don't think they think albums
And to that point, best rap album 2023 so far.
Still Magic 3.
Magic 3, album of the year.
But last week's Collie Grove, I have at number 2, Mike. Okay. I do.
I was thinking that too.
I'm going to surprise you with this. The Night Shift with Larry June, Mike.
I ain't heard it yet. I got to check that out.
You were fucking sleeping. I love The Night Shift. I have it at number 3. The Night Shift with Larry June. I got Michael at number 4. Killer Mike. I'm tossed up between Abolished Uncertainties and Magic 2, but I'm giving Magic 2 the nod because the production is better and, you know, we know who's rapping. Mm-hmm. So I got Magic 2 at 5, Abolished Uncertainties at 6. I got Larry June again with The Great Escape with The Alchemist at number 7. Larry June's having a great fucking year.
Mm-hmm.
After that, Mike, I got Scary Hours 3 by Drake. Yeah. If I can pick that, that's where I would go next. And The Genius Tape by Love. So those would be my 9. But those were the albums that stuck out to me this year so far.
What are we missing? I feel like something is
Am I missing something? Like, what'd you think of the Ross and Meek? You think the Ross and Meek is good enough to be top 10 this year?
I don't know, man. It's slightly underwhelming.
It is. For me, what the Wayne and Chains is what I thought the Ross and the Meek should be. And so when Wayne and Chains came with theirs, I was like, oh, there it is. There it is.
Wayne's spitting on there, man.
So is Chains, man. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. They
they
really are like Ray and Ghost right now.
What about West Side?
I like the fact that he took a chance and stepped outside the box. I don't love the execution.
Yeah, we're not talking about that album anymore. And we did miss the Sky Zoo album, yes.
Sky Zoo album, Conway's album.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't really stay with me like they usually did. And it's not because of like listening to them too much. It's just like, no, I just don't feel like it's there. And so I just tried to go by what I was impressed with. And those were the 9 projects that I was impressed with. I expect J. Cole to drop the Fall Off next week and vault his way.
Put that into the liner notes.
It better be better than everything on here except for Magic 3 or Collie Grove, bare minimum.
And we're still waiting on Benny.
Bare minimum. It better both. How about this? Both Benny and Cole better have top 5 albums this year.
Benny said that this is the hardest Def Jam release since It's Dark and Hell Is Hot.
Okay.
That's what he said.
He obviously didn't listen to Flesh of My Flesh, Blood on My Blood. That shit's hard too.
Well, I mean, he said it might be harder than that, I guess.
You just don't like Swiss. Flesh of My Flesh is hard.
No, X did his thing on there.
Slippin's on there.
Yeah.
Blackout is on there.
Yeah.
Coming From Where I'm From is on there. What's that shit with Kiss? Used to be my dog. You was in my left titty. Yeah. I don't know about that. That's lofty. That's pretty lofty of him. But both him and Cole better have top 5 albums, Mike, because the Magic 3, the Collie Grove album are the only albums where I'm like, wow. Like The Night Shift, I love it. Michael, I love it. Abolished Uncertainties, Magic 2, great. Like all of those are really, really dope projects. But the only albums that make me go wow this year is Magic 3 and Collie Grove. Where I'm like, man, this motherfucker, wow. Like I played Fever today and I was like, this how you starting off this album? I'm like, yeah, this shit crazy.
Shame on a nigga that tried to run game on a nigga. Well, all right, Busta Rhymes another one.
A nigga.
Busta's dropping Friday.
Let's talk about Busta.
Okay.
Have we seen the track list?
Yeah. I said something about the track list last episode.
I feel like you did. Let's pull up the track list again and take a look. What are your expectations for Busta? Because ELE2, keep in mind, in 2020, our top 5 rap albums of 2020 were Pray for Paris, From a King to a God, Alfredo, King's Disease 1, and ELE2 by Busta Rhymes. So the last time seen, he made a top 5 album for the year, in our opinion. This is not 2020 either, so 2020 special.
2020 is special. The fact that Timbaland, Swiss, and Pharrell are executive producing this album,
it's called
there's some expectations there. I don't love the title. I don't love the features, and I think I've said this before. The features are very young.
It is.
Where the production is very elder statesman. So that's an interesting mix, but it sounds like this may be one of those I'm trying to keep up with the times type of effort. And I haven't really been impressed with what I've heard so far.
I don't like that because I felt like on ELE2, the guest appearances made more sense. Like, and to be honest with you, the guest appearances are some of the highlights of the album. Best I Can with Rhapsody.
Great record.
Master Fard Muhammad with Rick Ross.
Great record.
The intro with Rakim with the verse of the year.
Great record.
The Q-Tip record.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like that,
I don't see it being better than that album.
I don't either.
Just based on what I'm seeing.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, well, if on the last album you gave me Rakim and Q-Tip and Ross and oh shit, I just said her name.
Rhapsody.
And Rhapsody. If those are your guest features, that falls more in pocket with a Busta Rhymes who's older but still cool to us. Busta is one of those guys. He doesn't have to try to keep up with the times. He's Busta. He's kind of timeless in a sense. It's like we just want him to be Busta Rhymes. And so
I feel like this is, and I love Pharrell, but I feel like this is Pharrell direction. Like, because
I mean,
we saw Pusha T do similar things with, you know what I'm saying, Until It's Dry.
It's like,
it's almost dry. Sorry.
Like Busta Rhymes with Quavo, Bia, Thug, Coi Leray.
I heard the song with Thug.
Giggs, Kodak.
I heard the song with Thug. It doesn't really sound like Thug to me. I don't know.
Cool and Dre still do beats. Not to be funny. When the last time Cool and Dre, you heard a Cool and Dre beat?
They on that Ross and Meek album. That's the last time I heard.
Okay, Mike. Stay out of this.
Firebird Phoenix with the super chat says, fellas, the purple tape. Oh, Firebird Phoenix with the super chat says, fellas, the purple tape was Ray's idea. The manufacturer didn't have his first choice of color. Plus, purple is royalty.
Always.
Thank you for that that little background. So yeah, I don't really have high expectations for this album, and again, that's based on what I've heard. It's based on what I see on the track list and the features, and I don't know if the winning recipe for making a great album in this era is to get Timbaland, Pharrell, and Swiss. And even with Timbaland, Pharrell, and Swiss executive producing, I don't think they produced the whole thing top to bottom. I think that
Respectfully.
that's just, it's overkill.
Well, respectfully, I want you to name one hip hop classic that those guys have produced by themselves. Like, not song, album.
No, I
What
agree.
what hip hop classic is Timbaland produced? Unless you're counting
The
some of Missy's stuff.
closest is going to be, if we want to talk about a hip hop classic, I would say Under Construction is the closest.
See, I think Super Duper Fly and The
Oh,
Real World
yeah.
are better.
But they're not rap albums. Like, you know what I mean?
Correct.
Like they're hybrid
And I don't think
albums.
Under Construction is a classic. So Timbaland hasn't made a classic rap album as an executive producer. I'm going to say this respectfully. Pharrell has not made a classic rap album. The Neptunes
did.
have,
Yeah.
because Chad does the drums.
Yeah. Now, if Chad was in the mix, I'd be
That's
excited.
different. That's different.
You know what? And I'm not saying this to be funny. I think Swiss and Busta do really good work together.
They do
And I'm
great
not
work.
a Swiss fan like that.
We know.
I would be, if they swapped out Timbaland for Chad, I'd be more excited about this. How about that? If it was the Neptunes and Swiss, I'd be more excited.
I would be more excited if it was just the Neptunes.
Oh, of course. No. Of course. But I'm not going to be able to get that.
Swiss's best album that he did most of the boards on is Flesh of My Flesh. Great album, not a classic. And you didn't do everything on there. Like you didn't do Slippin', which is probably the best song on that album.
Right.
Right, you didn't do the best song on that album. Like you literally did I think 11 of the 15 beats, but you didn't do the best song on there. So
I mean,
no.
To me at that time period, I feel like X kind of carried Swiss's production.
I feel like X carried everything around that time.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Shit was going to go get tore up.
Yeah, because he was getting on records that if we would have given to another person, it wouldn't have been those records.
Like, just how about this? Who's going to sew up Money Cash hoes like that?
Yeah, nobody.
Like, and this is Prime J too. It's like, oh no, he's stunting on a Prime J.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reggie with the super chat says, sounds like Busta might be cooking another Magna Carta Holy Grail. Too many cooks in the
not that
kitchen.
bad.
And it does seem like that because that's what Magna Carta Holy Grail was. It was Pharrell, Timbaland, Ruben, Swiss. It was a bunch of people, and it didn't have these features though.
I'm not loving the feature list, but I'm going to reserve some judgment because when you're dealing with somebody, okay, so the thing about Busta that I've heard is that, you know, even in a room where it's like Dr. Dre and Timberland and all these guys are in there, Busta still thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And so I don't like that because it's like, well, I don't like what your catalog looks like for those being the tea leaves about your studio behavior. It's like, oh no, you need direction. You could use some real executive production. And this feels like he took the project over here and took the project over there and took the project over there and took the project over there. And I don't love that, but I'm going to reserve judgment because the quote, the artist formerly known as, well, you're only funky as your last cut. And the last album he cut was pretty damn good. And so I'm going to give him some leeway because think about it. Him as an elder statesman in this game, he did make a great album in 2020. You know what I'm saying? His debut album is 1996. He's been around since Leaders of New School 1990.
Got to give props for that.
So being 30 years into the game and even being able to put ELE2 together, even though it's not ELE, it was a great job.
Yeah,
and so he's shown the ability to make a great album in these times, and I'm going to reserve judgment until I hear otherwise.
All right. Leroy Green with the $20 super chat showing love. He says, what's up, A2HH? Salute to you, brothers. You're killing it. Now let's talk. Saha's new song is the Scarecrow theme in the video, and Common and Primo. Again, salute, and Reasonable Doubt is better than Illmatic. LOL. You know, we're getting better singles than we are albums, you know, and I agree with you.
Why did Leroy even have to take that shot? Why can't, you know, I really want to do a show where we talk about Nas without talking about Jay. And I'd like to do a show where we talk about Jay without talking about Nas.
I don't know if it's possible.
It is possible. Like we can help control that narrative because it's like, no, it's okay to talk about Volume 1 and just talk about Volume 1. It's okay to talk about Reasonable Doubt and just talk about Reasonable Doubt. It's okay to talk about It Was Written and just talk about It Was Written.
Why have people been wired this way?
Why have we been wired this way?
Yeah.
This is the biggest beef ever.
We do that with Pac and Big. We do that with, I don't do that as much with Rakim and Kane.
No, we let Pac and Big stand alone way more than we let these two guys breathe.
Because we talk about Big.
We be going on Big and Pac rants, and the other guy never even comes up, Mike.
That's true.
It never happens, really.
I think it's an ongoing debate for, our audience.
I want you to think about this. Think about how many times I personally have talked about All Eyes on Me, and not one motherfucker has said anything about life after death.
True.
It's happened a bunch on this show.
I mean, I did it today, but I said, but that's because I feel like All Eyes on Me was the blueprint for life after death.
It is.
It's
the blueprint for rap double albums. Period.
Yeah. And it was like a direct, I want to say, reaction to it.
Oh yeah, it's a reaction. It's a Life After Death is a reactionary piece to All Eyes on Me. I don't care how New York feel about that. That was a fact.
Pac is the guy.
Pac's that dude.
I think that all things considered. Now, granted, the longevity and what Nas has done in his career, I think he's the greatest MC of all time. But our greatest hip-hop artist ever, it's hard to say it's not Pac.
It reflects properly in so many ways. It's like, oh no, well, he got to be a hit maker. Done. He got to make stuff for the streets. Done. He got to do something to make me think. Done. He got to do something progressive and conscious for the community. Done. He got to have an edge to him. Done. You know what I'm saying?
He's got to be a cultural icon.
Done.
A trendsetter.
Done.
I mean, he's done it all.
Done.
In that short period.
Before 25.
Insane.
Done.
Insane. I don't think that. I think his legacy gets bigger. I did ask Gip. I don't want to give too much away, but I did ask him some Pac stuff.
Yeah.
I asked him some Pac stuff.
Just hold that. Keep that in the can. Good job. Great. Mike, just the fact of some of the stuff that you're telling me that you asked Gip, great stuff. Gip was around. Everybody know Pac that. Everybody know. Look here. Everybody know.
Yeah.
Everybody know. Everybody here before 94 know.
Is there something we didn't cover today? I mean, we got some more things to on the menu.
I mean,
pun intended.
What the fans couldn't do is cover up some of Kobe's poor shooting and scoring performances. But other than that, we're good.
Reggie with the super chat says, because Pac and Big are not alive and active. Jay-Z ain't active.
At all.
Let me stop, man. Jay gonna come with a verse or something. Mention podcasters with Atlanta hats or something. Nah, man. I would love for Jay to be active, but he's not. And so, I mean, Nas has dropped, 7 albums since Jay has been active last, and his name still comes up. So I don't think that's the case.
Oh, 7, 8. Mike, Lost Tapes 2.
Yeah, 8. Yeah, Nasir, yeah.
Yeah, Nasir, Lost Tapes 2, and then the 6-album run, 8.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
He's not active.
I mean, the quote.
Ain't no wrong with that. It's just
quote Jay, I mean, can we let Nas live? Can I live?
Can I live?
Ooh, Can I Live Part 2. I love the beat, the Can I Live Part 2.
I do too.
I love that shit. Bleak went in on there.
Bleak
got a single. Bleak just dropped a record.
Shout out to Bleak.
Yeah.
I want to hear more from Bleak, man. I think, you know what? This era would be kind to Bleak.
Much kinder than him. His style fits more for this era now.
Mm-hmm. Because Bleak can get on a record and catch wreck. You know what I'm saying?
He was just around too many hitters.
And he wasn't the album maker that those people were.
It's too many hitters around.
Now albums ain't really that important, and you could just hit people with the singles.
It's just too many hitters. Think about who he's around. No, he's around his career, the early parts of it. Well, he's around Siegel.
He was
and
done
Jay
early.
And DMX and the Locks and Sauce. It's like,
you know what hurt his career?
Ja Rule.
Yeah. You know what hurt his career, in my opinion, is the fact that he was billed as the new and improved Jay-Z. That didn't really do him any favors for people like us at the time that were very critical, and we were really looking for something that was going to be at that level, and that just wasn't his reality. He shouldn't have even been put in play to have that kind of pressure in the first place.
I mean, this is why Volume 2 is not a classic to me. Listen to how it starts off. It's like, first of all, Primo could have done better on the beat, and you starting off Volume 2 with Bleak, and you're not even going to come in and do... No. We We don't hand out hall passes. That's why when people walk around Volume 2 as a classic, it's like, no, the first song's not even a classic. No disrespect
I
to
like
Primo or
Hand It
Blink.
Down.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's just cool, Mike. It's just like, Mike, that's not a top 50 Primo beat.
I mean, it's not 1,000,001 by no means.
See, you talking top 10 now. Like, that's why I'm saying is like, no.
But I'm saying that's the album before it. You know what I'm saying?
It's not even Friender 498, though.
Yeah. Reggie with the super chat says, celebrating Hip Hop 50 during the Falcons and Saints game. Yeah, that's
It's Sunday.
Yeah, they got a big little soiree going on.
No, I'm gonna be there.
It's gonna be. You seen the lineup?
Yeah, I'm going.
Big Boy, CeeLo, Ludacris, Jeezy, Jermaine Dupri. It's off the top of my head.
You should go.
Pastor Troy.
I'm going.
Goody Mob. Yeah, I should go.
I'm gonna be there. We in the building.
I mean, everybody except for Andre 3000.
I mean,
and Lil Jon. I think he's the only person missing too. The East Side Boys are there.
We can get us a media pass. Get up in there.
We got to holler at Mayor Dre. What's up? Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, they can love Mick Jagger and Steven Tyler. Why can't we love Hov? And I love Nas at the same time.
But people don't be talking about Mick and Steve at the same damn time all the time. Mick get to be Mick. Steve get to be Steve. Paul get to be Paul. Like,
it's that race for number one, man. And like you said before,
ain't no race.
Yeah, and we've said this before. Everybody picked their guy, and they want to stand on that. And that's why Jay's name keeps coming up. Right. People who pick Jay early on, they're never going to admit that Nas has passed them. I'm doing this because I'm doing a show, and I'm being objective. Right. I would look like a fool on this mic to sit here and deny the reality.
Well, it'd just be nice if, like, you know, and not to call Leroy out. It's like, no, you don't have to pull up and tell me that you think Reasonable Doubt is better than Illmatic every single time I talk about Illmatic. You can actually comment about Illmatic. How about that?
We need to pull Leroy Green on the line like we did for the Patreon.
No, I don't know. Leroy is part of the problem, not part of the solution.
All right, well, any other things we need to cover before we get up out of here?
Who you got tonight? Golden State or Phoenix? Comes on at about 10 o'clock.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to have the NBA player talk, because I was realizing, well, LeBron just passed 39,000. KD just played in his 1,000th game.
I'm going to go Phoenix.
Okay. You should.
I guess I shouldn't even ask you. KD's number one fan here. We got to get KD on the show. That's what we need. I heard KD got bars.
It's my Libra brother. You know he's born a few days before me. He's September 29th.
KD's an interesting individual, man.
Most Libras are.
Incredible talent. One of the most incredible talents
Libras are the best.
Seen.
I mean, we're all across the board. You got Coop in the pod space. You got KD on the court. You got Stephen A. Smith on ESPN.
Oh, Stephen A's one too?
Yeah, okay. He's like October 12th. Wayne, Black Thought, Talib
Kweli. Okay, I see the...
Talib and Thought's birthday is literally the day after mine.
Day, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we all across the place. We run into space.
All right, well, hit like and subscribe, man. We're going to be watching the game tonight. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving out there, and we will see y'all Monday.
You call it Thanksgiving. I call it Holiday Hell Day, because I'm for poverty, neglected by the wealthy.
Oh, we got another super chat in there. MJ, if KD scores 40 but gives up 40, how great is he? KD is 0 all defense. Kobe, 12-time all defense. Duncan, 15-time all defense.
I have Kobe and Duncan ahead of KD.
Well, there it is. All right, we out. Somebody with another super chat. Jay-Z coming out with a bongo album this Friday.
Cut off the mics. We got to go.